And welcome to it, everybody, and happy Monday to you. Kicking off another week here on Gwynn and Chris. Chrisello, Tony Gwynn Jr., and Matt Skraby together in our Odyssey Palace studios. Got a full 4 hours for you today. Padres are idle. That's probably a good thing as Tony Gwynn Jr. gets himself settled in for the afternoon. I was going to say, before we start, going into the doom and gloom department, which I have a feeling we will head in that direction at some point, Tony Gwynn Jr. looked absolutely spectacular on television this weekend. I wanted to open with that. My wife commented all 3 games, even Sunday, when you had the Padre pullover on. Like she was totally fired up for the 2 suits you wore. Once Skraby gets his mic,
I forget what mic Tony's on every
turned on, we can get a response from him.
No, see.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, there we go.
Nice to be with you guys.
Were you able to hear me?
Sorry about that.
Yes, I was able to hear you.
Okay. You looked great.
Thank you, sir.
And
I didn't feel great. That's for sure.
That's right. You've been a little under the weather.
Yeah.
But
that what was that? That long, late night we had in Detroit. It caught up to me eventually. Thursday, I was in here. I wasn't feeling good with you guys.
Yes, you've been playing hurt.
I have been. Days. But please tell Miss Lori I said.
Well, I thought she wasn't the only one. I mean, I was pretty impressed.
Thank
myself.
you, sir, for the compliment.
Well,
as well.
Here's the thing. You put on one of those suits for Friday night, and you're buttoned up all the way, and everything's aces, and you look comfortable. Like, I never look comfortable when I'm dressed up like that. Everybody goes, "You look good," and I go, "I don't feel good." That's why I don't like to wear that stuff, because I never feel comfortable.
Well, that's in your head.
No, it's how I feel.
Well,
it's not in my head.
But
it's exactly
if
how
everybody's
I feel.
telling you though, did you look good? Then
it makes up for it a little bit. But it's like if you're wearing a T-shirt that's way too tight, that's not in your head.
Listen, I think
the T-shirt's too tight. You feel restricted.
There's definitely a mindset that you just have to accept that your pants are going to be on you a little bit.
You got
a little bit tighter.
You got a belt on.
You got a belt on. Yeah, I mean,
who wants to broadcast a game with a belt on?
No one. But that's kind of that's kind of what's required.
Well,
I know Don and Mud don't like to necessarily do it like that. So
anyway, the broadcast booth looked good. Everything else, not so much. We will certainly get into what ails the Padres here as we go along. They obviously, as you know, were swept by Tampa Bay over the weekend, and a 14-3 start has dissipated now into 8 losses in the last 11 games. The offense has been, I would like to say, partly to blame, Tony, for the struggles, but kind of got to say it's been fully to blame for the struggles.
Oh, I didn't know where you were going there. Yeah, no,
I mean the pitching. I looked at the pitching numbers.
You can't be mad at the pitching, man.
The last
really
here it is. The last 11 games, the pitching for the Padres 3-8 record, 2.81 ERA, bullpen 1.71. Pitching's been fine.
Yeah.
So we'll take a look at what's been the problem with the hitting. I had some numbers that I delved into a little earlier today just to try to point out, where we need to pick things up. But I just didn't know, Tony, if you'd want to talk about the Padres after sitting through that this weekend. They didn't play great. I thought Saturday night especially, pop-ups are falling. They had a guy get picked off base. A couple of mistakes
two errors
here
that game.
Yeah, Saturday wasn't great. Yesterday, I thought I'll be honest with you, I'm not trying to beg here, but Vasquez struck the guy out to end the inning. It was a perfect pitch. He walked off the field. Next thing you know, 2 runs score. So, those kinds of things are happening right now too. But, we'll talk about this offense. But we could go in some other directions. We could talk about the great weekend that Shador Sanders had, or we could talk about the great weekend the Lakers had.
Oh, you're being funny. I see.
I'm trying to be funny.
Or we could talk about the great weekend that
SDFC even lost this weekend.
Did anything go right?
The wave is the only thing that held it down
that
this weekend.
They
got a 3-0 lead win against
the wave.
The wave.
Not the weather.
No, the weather this morning was doom and gloom, though. Like, if you woke up, it was like dark at like 9 o'clock still. And I kind of thought, okay, this is the mood that we're in. And look, the Padres are in a scuffle, and this is exactly why we told everybody, Tony, when they were 14-3, love it, enjoy it.
I think you said the exact thing.
It's not going to last forever, and it hasn't.
Yeah.
This isn't the end of the world. I mean, 17-11 is not where they would hope to be after that start, but it's still a good enough record to lead 3 of the divisions in baseball. Right now, one of the divisions is not good enough to lead, is our division, but the team in first place, the Giants, are coming in for a couple of games here this week. And after a day off, maybe Luis Ariz is back in the lineup tomorrow. I've heard some talk of that. Perhaps Jackson Merrill could be back as soon as Friday when the road trip begins. So, look, maybe help is on the way. And, yeah, right. But we said it, Tony, even when they were sneaking out a few wins there, you can't, win consistently at the big league level when you don't have all your big league players. It's not, it's true.
Right. They don't, I mean, the depth that we talked about is more of a kind of hold it down until everybody gets healthy type deal.
Yeah.
But, I'll just speak especially this last 3 I thought Saturday and Sunday's losses were disappointing because I didn't think Pepe was that good that day. I didn't think he was doing anything, extraordinarily well. That's a guy that I've seen the Padres pick apart in a lot of ways. And that was when it started to seem to me that there was actual pressing happening.
Yes.
And I thought the same thing with Littell yesterday. I thought they did a better job. I mean, Toddy, was on base multiple times, and they just couldn't get enough done offensively. And I just think those 2 losses in particular, I thought, what's my man's name who pitched the first game for Tampa?
Oh, Boz.
Boz was he was lights out. He was lights out.
That was, and you lost 1-0. That was just a better pitched game.
Right.
You lost on an unearned run, which is frustrating.
Absolutely.
Also.
Absolutely.
But that's gonna, you lose a game like that. You were in the midst of a 30-inning scoreless streak, which hadn't happened, I don't think, for the Padres since like the 70s. So you got yourself out of that. But ultimately, the numbers are not good, and I'm going to throw a few of them out here, Tony. And so that, everybody out there can kind of pick and choose what they want to focus on. And I think the first one I want to point out is the guys that are filling in from the minor leagues up to the major leagues.
Right.
This is Wade. This is Gonzalez. This is Tirso Ornelas. This is Connor Joe Limited, and even a little McCoy. That group, minus Tyler Wade, who's done well.
It's going to be held up by T. Wade.
Yes, he's held it up. But the rest of these guys are hitting $145 with 1 double. So they've gotten nothing basically, contributions from the guys that have come up.
Now that's without T. Wade.
That's without T. Wade.
Okay.
He's hitting 296 since he's been up.
Yeah.
So he's done his thing. The rest of the guys really haven't contributed. I want to throw in, though, that they're not the full blame. You can't blame it all on these guys.
No.
Manny is in one of his, I don't want to say slump,
ruts,
but he's not in one of his, he's not carrying the team. He's 8 for 40 during the 11-game losing, or 11, it's not a losing streak, but 3-8. During the 11 games, he's hitting 200, 1 home run, and no RBIs in the last 6 games. Xander Bogarts, I don't need to tell you, is scuffling big time. He's at 167. He doesn't have an RBI since April the 8th, and I know, I'm just adding fuel to the fire by mentioning this.
Yes, you are.
But look, 3 weeks without an RBI, he's got to be squeezing the sawdust out of the bat at this point. And then the other one is the catching position between Diaz and Maldonado. During the 11 games, they're 3 for 35. One of the hits was Diaz's home run. Okay, so I'll put that in there. But they only have 2 other hits beyond that. So I asked.
Well, let's be fair, though.
Go ahead.
What was their numbers the previous 13 games?
Not a whole lot better.
They probably were about the same.
Right. They haven't been good the whole year. And finally, if you take out Tatis and his 326 average over the last 11 games, which is pretty good, the rest of the team's hitting $189.
Yeah, no, that's
everybody else over an 11-game span without Fernando. It's a lot of people are in on this. Right?
Yeah, no, that led off our show Pregame show.
Yes, it
Toddy's hitting 325.
Right.
5 extra bases, 6 RBIs. That was going into yesterday. He added a couple.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the team, as you said, 189, 4 homers, 14 RBIs.
Nothing. So what do? I mean, first of all, you keep grinding. You keep grinding. You're not taking Manny out. I know everybody wants it, but they're not taking Bogarts out. You might have to move him from the 4-hole for a little while to hope he can relax and start hitting the ball well. The minor league guys are doing what they can. They're up here. They're busting it, trying to help you win.
Yep.
One area that I look at is the catching position. Now, Maldonado, Diaz, they do what they do handling a pitching staff. I know that's why they were chosen. But can Luis Campusano be that bad defensively that we can't bring him up in a situation where everybody's 3 for 35? Just a thought. I'm not trying to manage the team. I'm not trying to general manage the team. But that seems like an area you might be able to get somebody in there who can hit. Maybe he'll come up and go for 20. I don't know. But I would take a shot there. And is it going to fix everything? Of course not. Everybody's got to contribute to start getting this offense going again. But you have way too many automatic outs in the lineup right now. And the guys that aren't automatic outs, as you alluded to, are probably pressing. And so that's what you've got right now.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Campy is having a good start to his season. You also have to think about what's in his best interest. Is it in his best interest to come up here and now all of a sudden be the guy that's supposed to spark catching?
Please come up and change everything.
I don't know that that's in his best interest. I think the part of the reason why he's down there is because they want him to develop some consistency, and pulling him up here now for the sake of, trying to, I guess, kickstart an offense.
Yeah.
I don't know is in his best interest or the team's best interest. So I don't know. The catching part is the catching part. And I've always felt like this is kind of where it was going to be. I don't think we expected Diaz of the two to be swinging, as started off as slow as he started. That being said, listen, they're in a rut right now. There's just no way around it. You could excuse some of the losses they had on that road trip they faced. I thought some pretty good pitching. But as I said, Saturday, Sunday, I thought those were games that they were there to be had. And they weren't able to get enough offense. And I think what happens when you are in the midst of that 30-inning scoreless streak, inevitably you start trying to do more. You want to not have a 0 up after an inning is over.
Yeah.
And that is just kind of what it's been. And so they'll have to, all that they can do at this point is keep grinding, keep going out, figuring out if you get, even seeing Luis's name in the lineup will be a nice boost if it happens on tomorrow, going against a Giants team that's playing very, very well.
All right, we're underway. We'll tell you what's coming up on the show. 4 hours. Gwynn and Chris, happy to have you with us. Welcome to Monday.
Thank you for listening to 97.3 The Fan. Be back shortly. I would be back shortly if the thing will click. See, I'm clicking. I have no idea what's happening. It's not playing any commercials right now. Well, this is just great, everybody. Let me see if I could try to start another one. All right, well, this is awesome. On the air right now with no help, and there are no commercials to be played. Actually, you know what I'm going to do, everybody? You're getting a real live thing right here. This is real live Matt Skraby. I'm going to have to restart Wide Orbit real quick, so goodbye, Wide Orbit. It's not even closing. I'm going to text Adam, and I'm going to say, Adam, I tried to go to break, and the commercials did not play, and the program won't shut down. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have to do some Control-Alt-Delete over here. Control-Alt-Delete. Okay, I got it. Task Manager. It's not coming up. There it goes. Task Manager came up, everybody. I have no idea.
I'm way too generous with my stroke giving. Never mind.
Are you really?
Never mind.
Wait.
I did not mean for that to happen. I did not.
That sounds like a promo to me.
Skraby's giving out strokes. I can't wait to hear that one. I'm going to laugh for a while on that one.
Nate says, Skraby, maybe you should date her.
You might be a generous stroke giver, but I don't think she really wants to leave her boyfriend for that.
All right, that was good. In full disclosure, I'm reading this. Tony can't gather himself right now. That was a good one, Chris. That was a really good one. So I saw this at 7-Eleven, and I had to get it. It's called the One Chip Challenge. It was sitting there in the aisle, and I thought, why not? Because I am into spicy stuff. But this thing looks pretty hot. I'm not going to lie. It says a Reaper pepper and a scorpion pepper. It's also in the shape of a coffin, which doesn't make me very happy about that. Doesn't make me feel good. Oh, extreme heat, it says. I'm going to try a little bit first, just so I don't die, I guess. That's the thing I'm saying. This looks... I don't even know if I should be eating this. It looks like it has mold or something, but let's see how hot it is. Let's go. There's a little bit of spice there. It's going. Oh, man. This is hot. Not that bad, though. I still have this side to go. It is getting hot. I'm not gonna lie. My mouth is like getting crazy. Now it's kicking in. I'm not sure if I'm gonna finish this. Honestly, it's getting serious. I gotta go with the milk. My mouth is dying right now. Yeah, this is not fun, guys. Never gonna do that again because my mouth is on fire.
Thank you for listening to 97.3 The Fan. Be back shortly. I would be back shortly if the thing will click. See, I'm clicking. I'm clicking. I have no idea what's happening. It's not playing any commercials right now. Well, this is just great, everybody. Let me see if I could try to start another one. All right. Well, this is awesome. On the air right now with no help, and there are no commercials to be played. Actually, you know what I'm going to do, everybody? You're getting a real live thing right here. This is real live Matt Skraby. I'm going to have to restart Wide Orbit real quick, so goodbye, Wide Orbit. It's not even closing. I'm going to text Adam, and I'm going to say, Adam, I tried to go to break, and the commercials did not play, and the program won't shut down. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have to do some Control-Alt-Delete over here. Control-Alt-Delete. Okay, I got it. Task Manager. It's not coming up. There it goes. Task Manager came up, everybody. I have no idea.
I'm way too generous with my stroke giving. Never mind.
Are you really?
Never mind.
Wait.
I did not mean for that to happen. I did not.
That sounds like a promo to me.
Skraby's giving out strokes. I can't wait to hear that one. I'm gonna laugh for a while on that one.
Nate says, Skraby, maybe you should date her.
You might be a generous stroke giver, but I don't think she really wants to leave her boyfriend for that.
All right, that was good. That was good. In full disclosure, I'm reading this. Tony can't gather himself right now. That was a good one, Chris. That was a really good one. So I saw this at 7-Eleven, and I had to get it. It's called the One Chip Challenge. It was sitting there in the aisle, and I thought, why not? Because I am into spicy stuff. But this thing looks pretty hot. I'm not going to lie. It says a Reaper pepper and a scorpion pepper. It's also in the shape of a coffin, which doesn't make me very happy about that. Doesn't make me feel good. Oh.
Hello, Matt Skraby. Got some draft conversations to get to coming
We
up.
can talk grass, too, if you want. We got the Bermuda.
Sorry.
The
Blue, was it
Kentucky Bluegrass?
Kentucky Bluegrass, yep.
Bent.
I know,
Anua.
I know a little bit about
the grounds crew. The grounds crew's been on point for the Padres.
They're always on
Petco.
point.
It looks good.
Shout out to Matt,
Way to go,
the
guys.
head guy
Way to go.
for the Padres grounds crew and
Looking
the
very
rest of
sharp.
the guys. They do a terrific job, man, keeping that field, in my opinion, the best playing surface in all of baseball.
Do they ever practice like running the tarp out like other teams have to do?
You know what's funny? I don't think they do. Because they don't have to run the tarp out all that much. Although they had to do it
a couple years ago.
No, they had it on. What was it raining? Friday?
Oh, I didn't know the tarp
It
went on
rained.
the
Yeah,
field.
it rained Friday or Saturday. No, it was Friday. It was the first day of the series.
Wow,
It rained, almost knocked BP out, and it took the Padres off. They didn't hit BP on the field because of it.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. So I don't think they practice that much, but they do a good job, man. They really do. What was I going with?
I think practice is important on the tarp because you don't want to be one of those guys that runs out
that's
there
what I
and
was
gets
gonna say.
swallowed up.
Chris, you might know this.
That's
the first
embarrassing.
time I learned about having to put a tarp on. You know where it was? San Diego State University.
Really?
Yes, we had to do everything.
We were our own grounds crew.
Yes, we
And
were.
so, when it rained, you get a call, and when you're after your freshman year, you start trying to ditch that call. Like, oh, I didn't get it, coach. I was in class, so I couldn't help come out.
I don't know. I think Dietz had the power to pull you out of class if it meant putting the tarp on.
Especially when you were going to school.
That's
for sure.
right. Yeah.
I mean, isn't this the same guy who took a helicopter to a field one
Yes.
time to dry it out?
Yeah, I was
not just once, often.
Yeah, I'm about to say it was like
Where did he get this helicopter
That's
from?
the thing that was
That's the
amazing about
crazy part.
Dietz. He had access to a helicopter.
No,
Like just to dry off the
Skraby, I promise you, dude. This, all of a sudden, he'd be like, hey, make sure you guys aware the chopper's going to be here in like 15 minutes. And sure enough, the chopper would pull up and water would just come flying off the infield dirt. It was at the time, I didn't think nothing of it. But then as you start telling that story, and people are looking at you like,
You
so
guys
he
brought
just
in a
randomly had a
helicopter?
helicopter come in?
That's kind of awesome.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
No, he did. We'll move away from the Padres. We'll get back to that in the next segment.
We got Padres pen pals. I'm
Padres
sure
pen
there'll be
pals.
some happy questions.
Yeah, so you'll be a chance to get whatever your feelings is off your chest in the next segment. But a lot went down in the NFL draft. For some, not for some. In other cases, first pick was pretty much a done deal, and Cam Ward, he went. That was one of the notable picks. But the talk of the draft was. What's going on?
I just find it hilarious. I turn to my right because I hear something, and the dude's reading. Chris is reading a newspaper. It
I
is
have
something wrong with
my
that.
USA Today draft breakdown. It's on a newspaper.
He's got it ready,
There's
baby.
nothing wrong with it. It's just it's very weird to see.
Can you just look into the camera, Skraby, as to why I'm pulling this up? Look at number 31.
You're making
Dolphins.
the camera
Dolphins, 31st best draft out of 32.
go. Wow.
The only team worse, according to this guy, is the Browns, and he gave them an incomplete
Well,
he
because they
doesn't know
took
what
like
they're doing.
seven quarterbacks.
Yeah. Right. So the Dolphins, in his mind, had the worst draft of any.
The
team.
Browns, of course, were the team that ended up
Yeah.
taking Shador Sanders in the fifth round.
Fifth.
I
Fifth
thought
round.
that the Browns did it right for a moment because they traded up in the fifth round
Traded
to
two
get
picks
him.
to get up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good way to maybe send a message to a kid that had to feel like he'd been passed over for 2.5 days. Hey, we kind of wanted you. We actually traded up to get you. I thought that was a good message to send until I realized that they had already taken a quarterback.
Yeah. Dylan
And
Gabriel.
the Browns became the first team in decades to take two quarterbacks in a row without another team taking one. You know what I mean? They took a quarterback and then another one. No other team selected a quarterback in between Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders. That's pretty rare.
Yeah. I was about to say RG3 and Kirk Cousins went in the same to Washington Redskins, but there must have been quarterbacks
Well,
taken.
I think one was the
in
first
between
round,
it.
one was the fourth round.
Yeah.
This was no other quarterbacks in between. And you've already got Joe Flacco, and you've got you still got Deshaun
Yeah.
floating around the
they have five quarterbacks.
Yeah.
on
Here's
that
it.
team.
I mean, listen, that could be one way to look at it. If I'm Dylan Gabriel, I might be feeling some type of way.
Like, why did
Like,
you bother
really?
putting me in here?
I know I'm the higher pick, but
Yeah.
you already had two ahead of me. Now you draft this dude behind me. I would be feeling some way. But let's get to the kind of the story of this. Lot of conversation about Shador and was the NFL sending a message, and was whatever it was. I think honestly there is some fault on Shador and his camp in terms of what it sounds like. I wasn't there. I don't have details of what these interviews supposedly went down, but it sounds like he didn't interview well in certain spots. It seems the way they're writing about it now makes it seem as though he had a shot to go late in the first round with the Giants, had his interview gone better than it did, according to reports. At the end of the day, he got drafted. Whether I don't know that there was some conspiracy to keep him from getting drafted early. It's hard to believe all of those teams said that he wasn't, good enough until the fifth round. But that's what it is. What I did appreciate is when he did get drafted, he didn't seem to care that it was the 5th round. He was happy dancing nonetheless. And I think that just shows you that he wants to play football. He wants an opportunity.
Well, he's going to get the opportunity. The pressure is going to be, I think, somewhat immense on him, but I think he can handle that.
He's already dealt with that part of it.
The question is, just how good is he going to be?
Right.
And if he's good, everyone will pretty much forget where he was drafted. He'll just, it'll be one of those every team messed up by passing on him situations. So he's going to get a shot. I think most people did not want to put up with what they felt might be a circus surrounding him. But secondly, at least 25 teams had no interest in him at all, because why would you want your backup quarterback to be the most popular story on the team? And he would have been no matter almost anywhere he went as a backup.
I just don't buy that. I think that's fugazi. I do. Like, you first of all, you get into camp and you're not even going to be getting the reps to be able to even do anything at that point, to garner the type of publicity that he's getting now as a starting quarterback at Colorado. And not to mention in terms of the headaches, I mean, there's been a lot of headaches that teams have decided to take on prior to Shador that they've had no problem doing. Now, if you didn't think that he was good enough, ultimately, that's really boils down to. In terms of the optics of it, the amount of attention it would have gotten, I'm just not buying that.
I really think, like, Shador's not a bad guy. He might be a little arrogant at times. He's not a bad guy, but NFL teams draft bad guys, in my opinion, all the time. So I don't buy it either that it was like we just don't know what we're going to get with him, because I honestly have no idea why he dropped to where he was. Browns took him. They have 5 quarterbacks. They are Deshaun Watson. I think Kenny Pickett might be on his way out.
He's still there.
But Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, and Shador Sanders. And the NFL has never let ego problems stop them from drafting anyone before.
It's helped them draft people.
That's why it was so confusing to me, because some guys need that ego component. He's Deion Sanders' son. What is he supposed to do?
Listen, at the end of the day, again, if it was on just the skill set and you didn't the teams didn't necessarily, I'll buy that, but I'm not buying the attention part. Now, the other thing that happened that kind of reared its head yesterday was the prank call that Jeff.
There was a couple of them, but one to Shador was the one that stuck out.
Well, the one that stuck out because he's the one that slid. The other ones didn't slide; they were already there. You got that on the other side? Was that?
Well, we'll talk about it on the other side.
Okay.
And then we have Padres pen pals as well.
Time police is on us. We got to go to break. More Gwynn and Chris on the other side.
Ben and Woods.
I mean, I think first you can have that belief when you put the kind of work in that you do, that your body's going to heal right, and just trusting it. You talked about being an extension of the coaching staff. I would guess that's going to be even more so this year with you not being able to actually do the physical part.
Yeah.
Is there something that you've tried to do this offseason to kind of get you into that mode in terms of being that extension? Because the reality is, although your arm might be useless in 25 this year, your mind's not going to be. And there's still a lot of guys, especially the ones who may be vying for your spot in the rotation, that could lean on you a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's my job to help prepare these guys the best I can. And like guys like Waldron, guys like Randy Vasquez, Johnny Brito, those are guys that are, have really good stuff and are not far away from, being, middle of the rotation to top half, starting pitchers.
Yeah.
So trying to share some things. That's something we talk about all the time in the clubhouse is like, you bring something to the table on the field, every day. That's kind of what brings you here and gets you to this level. But, days that you're not playing as a starting pitcher, that's, a majority of our days. You pitch once every 5 days. So making sure you bring something to the table is, something we always talk about. So even though, like you said, I'm not going to be physically on the field pitching, I got to find a way to contribute. And a lot of that's just been, better communication with the staff. And I'm really excited this year to be able to sit in more of the coaches' meetings and see how they game plan and how they, come about their approach to certain teams. And I feel like when I come back in 26, I'm going to have a whole plethora of knowledge and things that I hadn't experienced before to add into my game. So.
I just have to say this. I play with a lot of guys and not all of them are going to take as serious as Joe is taking this part serious, which is getting into those coaches meetings. Coaches are here a lot earlier than the players,
Are they, man?
especially during spring training. So the fact that he's going to be willing to do that, I think that's awesome, man. That's what separates you from a lot of these other guys out there.
Right.
We're talking to Joe Musgrove here, Padres pitcher, 97.3 The Fan, and I have to ask from the fan perspective, because Tony every day on the show, whenever a team in the National League West signs a new big-name player, all of us fans are kind of like, why? And Tony says it doesn't matter. They still have to go out and play the games. Right. When you see that happen, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different perspective as a player. You know, our job is, our goal doesn't change regardless of whether we add, and that stuff's, you know, out of our control. So you never want to sit here going into an offseason saying, you know, we're going to be fired up if we get this guy and this guy, and you know, not if we don't get this guy. So you look at our team, you know, and a lot of people see all the moves being made and don't see us making moves, and it seems like a mismatch in the division. You know, all these other teams are adding, but you look at our roster, I mean, we spent a lot of money over the last handful of years and committed a lot of guys to be here long term, and the value in having those guys return every year and continue to build that relationship and that growth is every bit as valuable as adding a new free agent. So I think with the progress we made last year, and you guys will never understand how we feel. I'm sure you can see a little bit of it on the field and how we carry ourselves and, you know, the camaraderie and stuff, but you'll never truly understand just how close that group got last year. And although we didn't, you know, achieve the ultimate goal of winning the World Series, we grew a ton as a team. We grew a ton as, you know, a unit. And I'm super excited that we got most of these guys coming back. We got the whole staff coming back, and we can kind of pick up where we left off.
Well, last one for me, because you kind of just hit on it, and I think it's so important. The continuity, right? This is, what, year maybe 3-4 of this nucleus being together. How much of an impact can that have on a team, having guys who have been in the locker room together for so long?
Yeah, a ton. And, you know, like, Shilt's big thing is shared experiences. You know, we got guys from all over the league, some guys that are new and have experienced things that most rookies don't, and some guys that have been around 10-plus years that have, you know, been in championship locker rooms and been around the best of the best. So sharing those experiences with each other and helping each other grow along the way, not just, you know, providing, you know, assistance and, you know, coaching, but like sharing experiences and helping guys grow a little bit through, you know, what you've been through is a big thing for us.
Joe Musgrove, ladies and gentlemen, this is a good one we got here, man. Joe, appreciate you, brother.
Thanks so much, Joe.
Pleasure, man.
Quick healings, and enjoy the rest of your day,
sir.
man.
You guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
I mean, I think first you can have that belief when you put the kind of work in that you do, that your body's going to heal right, and just trusting it. You talked about being an extension of the coaching staff. I would guess that that's going to be even more so this year with you not being able to actually do the physical part.
Yeah.
Is there something that you've tried to do this offseason to kind of get you into that mode in terms of being that extension? Because the reality is, although your arm might be useless in 25 this year, your mind's not going to be. And there's still a lot of guys, especially the ones who may be vying for your spot in the rotation, that could lean on you a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's my job to help prepare these guys the best I can. And like guys like Waldron, guys like Randy Vasquez, Johnny Brito, you know, those are guys that are, you know, have really good stuff and are not far away from, you know, being, you know, middle of the rotation to top half, you know, starting pitchers. So trying to share some things. That's something we talk about all the time in the clubhouse is like, you know, you bring something to the table.
All right, a lot of different ways to look at what's happening to the Padres currently. You can look at it this way. They've lost 8 of 11. You can look at it this way. They've lost 4 in a row. You can look at it this way. They've fallen into third place in the NL West. But you can also look at it this way. They're still 9-9 since Jackson Merrill went down. They're 8-8 since Jake Cronenworth joined him on the injured list. Not bad when you're missing 2 of your best, you know, offensive weapons. Hopefully Luis Ariz is back tomorrow. Hopefully Jackson Merrill can get back by Friday. There's some talk of both of those things happening. Padres and I'm sure all the fans hope that that's the case. We will answer.
What are we 1-5
without Ariz?
Without Ariz.
Yeah, that's a shorter sample
Listen,
size.
I'll say this. To me, his absence is the most noticeable because of how it changes the lineup at the top, right? You've seen Gavin Sheets hit second. You've seen Xander flip over to hit second for a game. He just brings he gives you the ability to keep some of those guys down in the middle of the lineup versus having to move one up.
Right.
And it shortens you a lot, in my opinion. I mean, listen, obviously Jackson is Jackson, but that piece having a guy like Luis behind Toddy, who has been getting on base as much as he has, and we haven't even seen the best of Luis, but just his presence in that lineup, I think, makes a huge difference.
Well,
Obviously.
and you said just his name on the card might make a big difference tomorrow night if he can play against San Francisco. The other bit of good news, if there is any right now, next 2 days, you've got Nick Pivetta and Michael King.
Yeah.
You got your two, guys who are pitching the
two best, right?
Are both going in the next two. And hopefully, you get these two, then all of a sudden everything looks a little better. So, hopefully that'll be the case. Tomorrow night is also your dad's rookie bobblehead night, and that's exciting. I know people are really, want to get down there and get a bobblehead. Well, how about this? At some point during the show today, we are going to give you a chance to win a pair of tickets to tomorrow night's game against the Giants.
Got a chance to be one of the first 40,000.
You want to be one of the first 40,000.
And you better, because they're regularly drawing over 40,000.
I know right now. I probably get hit up a lot less for tickets than you guys may think.
But tomorrow night you're getting hit up.
I'm getting hit up. Big time. Maybe not even for the tickets. It's just, can I get a bobblehead?
I was going to say, how many bobblehead requests have you had?
I've gotten far more bobblehead requests.
Now, do you have any pull, being that it is your family's name, that you could request like 20 bobbleheads?
Mrs. Gwynn, OG Mrs. Gwynn has all the pull there.
The original gangster,
the original gangster,
Alicia Gwynn.
That's right. Is the one that has all the pull there.
Okay. So everybody text her.
Yeah, text moms, because all I'm going to do is hit her up for the ones I want.
Hopefully you get one before they're gone from her.
100%.
All right, here's how you're going to win the tickets. You're going to listen for this classic Tony Gwynn moment.
Set to Tony, fastball high, deep right field, toward the right field foul pole, that's fair, it's gone, and it is going and gone. Home run, Anthony Keith Gwynn. 4-2 Padres.
That was the one that went off the facade at Yankee Stadium in Game 1 of the 1998 World Series, as called.
That still gives me goosebumps.
By Uncle Teddy,
really
for
does.
sure. And
I just remember Tony being in the stands, and there was someone talking trash to them, and then his dad hit the home run, and he was able to give it back.
It's one of my favorite moments in life.
Those moments don't happen often enough.
They don't.
They don't. But when you hear that highlight again, and Skraby is going to be in charge of this, so whenever he plays that over the next, it could be any time between now and 6 o'clock, right?
Yep.
Whenever he plays that highlight again, be the first person to call in. 833-288-0973. All right, Padre Pen Pals. But before that, we promised to wrap things up on the Shador Sanders
prank call. Yeah.
A prank phone call. Tell people what happened. It was somebody.
So, what's my man's name? The defensive coordinator.
Jeff Holbrook.
Jeff
Former
Holbrook.
49er.
Former 49er. Former brief Jets head coach.
Didn't go well for him.
No, it didn't. He is now with the Falcons.
Yes.
And so typically what happens is all of the NFL staff gets these numbers. They're the only one that gets it. So
phone numbers.
We didn't know this until after all this came
idea.
out, which is probably why my man knew his time was coming up pretty soon, because they knew it had to come from somebody within the organization. So apparently not just Shador Sanders, but I believe a few of the other draft picks were also prank called.
Yes, they were.
Shador's got the most pub because they actually recorded themselves doing the prank to Shador.
It's the dumbest thing you could ever do. All of this is dumb, but that's the dumbest part.
It's as we know, it's about the viral moment. It's about, making yourself famous somehow. And he's going to take these lumps, but guess what? His name is out there forever now. Mission accomplished for him at this point. That being said, it led to, I think, there's going to be some type of. It sounds like the NFL is investigating. I don't know what they're going to end up being able to.
Well,
do
they're probably
about
going
it.
to be a little less forgiving or for less giving with these phone numbers in the future.
No doubt about it.
I would
Because
think.
as it was happening, I think Shador and his brother Shiloh were live streaming, and he said, "Man, he just got that number. There's no one else has it
Right.
except for it just kind of." Matriculated into what we found out was some prank calls, and it wasn't just Shador. As I said, it was but a couple other guys too as well. So,
Well, I mean, the whole thing is so stupid. And if you're Jeff Ulbrich, do you think he's going to face penalties from the NFL?
I would see it. I would.
What, that his kid got a hold of the phone number?
That's what
I would think that you have to keep that stuff under wraps. I mean,
well,
it would be hard. I can't see a
sounded
scenario.
like his kid went in and found a notebook and opened it up and looked in it.
An
So,
unopened,
I
I should say, an open iPad is what it sounds.
yes, it was an open
iPad.
iPad, but J-Mac has a good issue or good
point
statement. My issue, thank you, Tony.
There you
My
go.
issue with this is that it has happened other years, and now it's an issue. I think it's different because this was an official NFL phone number. This
Who
wasn't.
cares that it's happened in other years? It should have been an issue in those situations. We just didn't hear about it.
I think
That's the
Cooper
difference.
DeJean maybe got it had it happen to him.
Either way, we didn't I'm saying it wasn't put out for the masses for us to understand what happened. So, I mean, just because it happened in the past and we missed it, I don't think that it's any less that we shouldn't be talking about it. Like, ultimately, this is supposed to be a moment that's a good thing for him, even if it is in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. Still a moment that these guys are looking forward to it, and have it kind of poo-pooed in some ways. It's kind of, I think I can see why it's irritating.
This is evil.
Again,
This is evil.
Shador didn't, according to the statement that Jeff Ulbrich's son put out there, he said him and Shador talked, it was, he took his phone call. He was able to kind of speak to him. So we're the ones on the outside making it big. I haven't heard Shador say anything about it at this point. So, I don't think he should either. But nonetheless,
They're saying on the chat, it was an amazing troll. Admit it. I will never condone trolling because I'm not a troller. Well, to you guys I am, but
it was an
I don't
amazing
like
troll.
I don't like stuff like this because it made me crawl out of my skin to watch this video.
If you think that's an amazing troll, then good for you.
Good point.
That says a lot to me. Anyway,
Chris, any thoughts on the trolling?
No.
Okay.
PPP.
Yeah.
I lose it every
PPP.
single. There it is.
It's time to ask the experts, Padres fans.
I was hoping maybe you can bring a little insight into it.
Write us, tweet us, Facebook us, send a carrier pigeon for Chris. He thinks they're cute. Padres Pen Pals begins
Hurt the pelota big time.
now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, as you guys know, the Padres have not had a good go of it as of late, and Padres pen pal questions. I had to carefully craft these because
you know what I want you to do moving forward when you get. You all right?
I had a brain. I almost freaked out on the board. Yes.
When we get to these type of time, I want you to get it uncut and raw. Just bring it in here. You don't
bring it in.
You don't need to go through them and cipher through. Bring in the most hateful ones. I know there's a bunch of them. You might as well.
You're asking for it. I'll do that.
I don't think we could plan on being here often, but when we have one of these stretches where they haven't played well, bring on the.
Let's start with the one where they blame Tony Gwynn Jr. for being on television.
Oh yeah, no, I got that in my DMs yesterday.
Yeah, it is. They've lost that series.
I think
it is Tony's
my reply was, you might be right, but I was, it may be you though. Because the gentleman was older than me.
It also might be you.
I was like, you've been watching this team
following the game
a lot
as well.
longer than I've been on Earth. So, at that point, is it me or is it you? He also laughed at that. He agreed that it could be him. So
you got him.
I did.
You got him, Tony. All right, here's the first one. And this one was actually very nice. So I didn't have to tone it down a little bit. But at this point, I don't even really care what the reason for not spending in the offseason was.
Oh, we're back on that. Okay.
I think AJ did a good job with this team and what it seemed like he could work with. After nearly 30 games in, with guys being on the IL, depth has been tested, and depth was there until Luis Ariz became the third everyday player to go on the IL.
Yeah.
My thought is these guys are going to come back and the team will be back to normal. But Tony, do you think this stretch has told the front office they need to make a trade to bring in a more reliable bench piece?
I don't know. I think, first of all, it's a great take, but I think he kind of contradicted himself a little bit. With the question, right? He said the depth was fine until the third everyday starter went out.
Yeah.
First of all, if 3 everyday starters are out for a good portion of the season, I hate to say it.
Think about the Dodgers losing Ohtani, losing like Mookie and Freddie Freeman. They're not going to win.
First of all, you picked the 3 best of the bunch. That would be like
you just picked 3 Hall of Famers.
I mean, Jackson Merrill, Jake Cronenworth, and Luis Arraez are huge parts of that.
Is that the same as Jackson Merrill, Manny Machado, and Fernando Tatis Jr.?
All right, I'll go back.
Okay, so anyway, my point being, if you're missing 3 really good starters, no matter what team you are, and it's a long period of time, your season might be cooked. I don't think there's any other way to say that. Now, I don't anticipate that. We're getting these guys back. I think there's always going to be room for improvement as the season goes along. It is April 28th. I was going to say 7th. April 28th. And it's too early. But to his point, I think it does open your eyes that you may have to address that part of the team at some point.
Chris, do you think this recent stretch just told the front office they need to bring in a more reliable bench piece?
Well, it's obvious that A.J. Preller and the whole organization messed up by not bringing back Donovan Solano, not adding David Peralta, even though no other team in baseball seems to want him.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it is. But, changing out those bench pieces for the ones they selected. No, that's Monday morning quarterbacking.
I was going to say Donovan Solano's hitting 114 right now.
Of course he is. What I'm saying is that's Monday morning quarterbacking. Stop doing it. The bench pieces that they went with were 14-3 when they were on the bench.
Right.
That's just as simple as that.
Right.
They're supposed to be on the bench. They're not supposed to be starting every game.
I think Kevin made this point in one of his recent articles,
AC.
right? All right. Yeah, sorry. Kevin AC made this point, and that is you become a bench player, role player, however you want to cut it, because playing every day doesn't suit you. Doesn't make you perform at your best. That's why you have guys who can play every day and be consistent enough. Listen, I wasn't one of those guys. And so, that has to, when you get thrown into the starting lineup on an everyday basis as a, role guy or a bench guy or a utility guy, it could end up looking like this sometimes. And that's where it's at right now.
All right, let's get to our next pen pal. Sort of new to this baseball thing, but I wanted to ask what a few things mean. Chris, you're going to be up first in this one. When someone says a player is pressing, what does that mean? I get it means they're trying to come through, but can you explain it so a learning baseball fan like me can understand?
Gotcha.
Well, let Tony go because he played the game.
Okay. I think what happens, when you're at your best, you have no clutter in your head, kind of just out there. I don't want to say you're just out there playing. You're freed up, you're loose, and because of that, you're able to kind of think clearly, see clearly, make proper decisions. When you start to press, typically what happens is you're no longer clear-minded. You got a lot of different things going on in your head as you're trying to, and then on top of that, you're trying extra hard. You're swinging a little bit harder. You're squeezing that bat a little bit tighter. And you may take some risks that you normally wouldn't take because you're trying to come through in that particular case. And baseball is a sport where when you're doing that, you're trying harder and trying to force the issue.
Seems like it happens worse in baseball than any other sport.
I think it does.
Yeah.
I think it does. And it doesn't just show up at the plate. It shows up on the bases, trying to get a bigger lead, trying to leave a little bit earlier so you can make sure you're there and get that extra 90. You throw to the wrong base because you're trying to make sure you're trying to cut a guy down. It pops up in a number of different ways, not just offensively. But that's my best explanation.
Anything to add, Chris?
Not really. I think in everybody's walk of life, You want a clear head to perform your best, no matter what you're doing, honestly.
Yeah.
And I know the last month of Wednesday night softball, I don't even like stepping in that batter's box. I struck out that one time. I haven't come out of it since.
You still domed up.
I think of everything in there. And then I go back and I go, what was I doing? Driving me crazy. So I totally get it.
Was it the social media post of you striking
Yes, the
out?
fact that they put it up on social media did not help.
Social media?
Yeah, that's what. Remember, we saw him striking out. It was some random group that
didn't
Oh,
help.
I did see that.
records their
Yeah.
games and
That's
then
right.
put up out of everything Chris's strikeout as the
It
thing.
didn't help.
All right, so Tony challenged me to get some of the worst things out there. So I went through my DMs and
let's
I
go.
got one.
Let's go.
And I had to change some of it because it was not radio friendly. Xander Bogarts.
Do we go with the
No,
Boston
because this is
accent?
a San Diegan. Xander Bogarts is so bleeping bad, and I can't see this dude look like he's really enjoying that $25 million a year he's stealing from the Padres. When is it time to admit fault and bleeping move on from this garbage signing? I can't watch this anymore. He can't hit out of the infield. He can't make a throw. For all I know, he can't even bunt. He's got 2 errors in 2 days. This dude is bad, and he needs to be off the team. And don't tell me they can't trade this contract.
They
That's
can't
all.
trade his contract.
And that's basically what it is. But
Yeah.
I think they're asking.
What do you-
I think they're asking, is this what we're getting?
But what's the there's no question.
No, there was no. That was a statement towards me. So I'm going to ask the question.
I love that he DM'd you that.
Yeah. I get a lot of these actually, and it's a lot of Xander Bogarts trash right now. Like people are not a fan of his. But Chris, is this the Xander that we should just get used to?
No, and I think he'll end up getting closer to the Xander you got 2 years ago when everybody complained, and he went 19-19 and hit about 270, and everybody thought we got hosed then with the contract. I do think for the moment, but Mike Shildt has a better handle than I do. I might drop him down to 7 in the lineup for a little while, but the problem is there's nobody to put in there now.
He doesn't have that
He doesn't have
as
that
option
luxury
right
now because people aren't healthy. But Merrill comes back, Jake comes back, Arise comes back. You can bat him 7th for a while and let him hit his way out of it. He's too good. Look, he's not going to be the 33 home run guy that he was, but that was only 1 year in his career that he even did that.
He's in a totally new ballpark.
Just yes, he's in a major way right now. I thought the craziest thing that showed it was him, running over Iglesias on a pop-up.
Yeah.
That's pressing.
I think
that's right. He's trying to do everything, and he can't do it that way.
That's a great example. I'll just add that there's no getting around it. Xander did not play well that 3-game set. He had a rough series for sure. And yeah, I think at the end of the day he'll be about where he was 2 years ago. But he's just going through a tough spell right now. And as Chris mentioned, there's not really a lot of options for Mike Shildt because everybody's hurt. So he can't really move him in the lineup.
Baseball is an extremely emotional sport.
If you go day to day like everybody else seems to be doing,
it's hard not to. We are not. This society is not built for the rigors of a baseball season.
It isn't now. You're right.
Here,
right.
really quick. How do you guys deal with doomers? One of my friends is a Padres doomer, and it was nice when the doomers had nothing to say. Now they are popping out of whatever.
Rolling now.
They're popping out of whatever crypt they were living in for the past few months. Tony, what's the best way to deal with a doomer?
Just roll your eyes.
Just walk away.
Just roll your eyes. Pat him on the shoulders. Like, we'll be all right, man.
that infuriates
I know
doomers.
it does.
Chris, how do you deal with doomers?
I join them.
You become a doomer.
Yes, you become a doomer.
So
Show
they're
them
like,
how
man,
silly-
Xander Bogarts is trash, and Chris goes, yeah, he's trash.
He's horrible. Yeah, he's never going to get another hit
I
again.
see what you're doing. Yeah, I see.
He's never going to get another hit
just
again.
jumps in with it.
I see what you're doing.
That's what I would do.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny, actually.
Thank you.
I could totally see Chris doing that. Yeah, Xander Bogarts is trash, and this guy's like, I like Xander. Oh yeah, me too. I like Xander.
Yeah,
All right.
you give people a little of their own medicine, they get uncomfortable. All right, we got the Daily Gambit heading your way next. There was other events this weekend, thankfully. We'll take a look at that on the flip side.
Joseph Musgrove in the building.
Give him a round of applause, everyone.
It's not a bad setup right here, huh?
No, not at all. Not at all. How you doing, Joe?
I feel great, man. Yeah, really good. Excited.
I heard you say on the stage today, 2 months away from throwing a baseball.
Yeah.
What are those 2 months going to be like for you?
A lot of patience, you know. I've been working really hard, man. Been really diligent with the rehab. The strengthening stuff has all been, you know, right on par. I've kind of hit every checkpoint with ease, and that was something that was told to me early on. Is like, you know, really give it the time that you need on the front end. You don't throw for 6 months regardless, so. You know, don't try to go out and be a hero and get yourself throwing in 4 months. Just, you know, do all the rehab, hit all the checkpoints, and then, you know, maybe make up some time on the back end, you know, once I'm consistently throwing. So strength feels really good. It's just, you know, getting the shoulder moving again and back in, like, certain ranges before I start playing catch.
For those who may not know, I don't think it was ever going to be in question whether Joe was going to attack his rehab the way he has already started to attack it. This is one of the most hard and working people I've ever been around. But this is new territory for you.
Yeah.
I mean, you are a guy who I consider well-educated on anything he's about to walk through.
Yeah.
What was your education like leading up to surgery? I know you must have talked to a billion people. You don't leave stones unturned.
Yeah.
What was that like, getting yourself prepared for this surgery?
Yeah, I got a notebook full of pages of you know, conversations, phone calls, doctor visits. I, you know, vetted 3-4 different doctor options. Called everybody I knew that had, you know, had Tommy John, called guys that had had it twice, and, you know, what the difference was the second time around compared to the first. So
this is your first, correct?
My first one, yeah. So I feel like I've done, you know, every bit of the homework that I could. I feel like I was as prepared and as, you know, educated on, you know, the process as possible. And now it's just, you know, putting the, you know, the lessons that I've learned from other people and their experiences, along with, you know, the feel and the trust that I have for myself.
We're talking to Joe Musgrove here on 97.3 The Fan. And, Joe, last year you called into our show. And
yeah, there we go.
You played a prank on me, and it was a really good prank because my heart stopped a beat for a second, and it still does. But I appreciate you doing that. This is the first time we've actually been able to talk about it.
A little locker room talk. It's all good, baby.
I told him, I told these folks that his eyes almost popped out of his head when Joe got on that phone.
Well, yeah, when I'm told I can't come into the clubhouse, it's a little concerning, considering, you know, I'm not that crazy of a guy. But
no,
anyway.
You're good by us down there. You're welcome whenever.
All right. I just wanted to ask you about the mental side of things, because it's got to be hard knowing you're coming into the year you're not going to pitch.
Right.
But you still have to keep working. How do you stay in that zone?
I think, you know, first off, it's a little bit of a relief. It's a chance to kind of step back from, you know, the constant mentality and approach of, like, being on edge and getting ready and prepared, and just the stresses that, you know, any ball player deals with on the day-to-day of, like, mechanics feeling out of whack, or as spring gets closer, maybe you haven't hit the checkpoints that you want to hit, or things aren't, you know, as consistent as you like it to be. So not having to deal with those stresses has been super nice. You know, I've been able to focus on life a little bit, got engaged, you know, got a new home, made some moves. Yeah, so it's been really good. And I think, you know, once I had the surgery, I knew what was ahead of me and, you know, how long the road was. And, you know, it took a little while to get to a good headspace, but I feel like I'm in a great spot now. And, you know, I was saying earlier out on the stage, you know, I'm not claiming to be Superman, but I really believe in my ability to heal and, you know, my ability to, you know, to push my body and get it ready. So I'm preparing and shooting for a return in the postseason at some point. And if, you know, we're a month away from that and I realize it's a long shot, I'm completely fine with, you know, sitting out and, you know, preparing for 26. But I keep myself busy, man. I've really tried to be an extension of the coaching staff and, you know, provide, you know, assistance and help and, you know, experience and, you know, things that help these younger guys and, you know, some of our guys that are transitioning to a starting role, you know, help their careers grow. So, you know, keeping myself busy and keeping tasks, you know, to have, you know, at my fingertips, things to work on has been a good relief for me.
Joseph Musgrove in the building.
Give him a round of applause, everyone.
It's not a bad setup right here, huh?
No, not at all. Not at all. How you doing, Joe?
I feel great, man. Yeah, really good. Excited.
I heard you say on the stage today, 2 months away from throwing a baseball.
Yeah.
What are those 2 months going to be like for you?
A lot of patience, you know. I've been working really hard, man. Been really diligent with the rehab. The strengthening stuff has all been, you know, right on par. I've kind of hit every checkpoint with ease, and that was something that was told to me early on. Is like, really give it the time that you need on the front end. You don't throw for 6 months regardless, so don't try to go out and be a hero and get yourself throwing in 4 months. Just do all the rehab, hit all the checkpoints, and then maybe make up some time on the back end. Once I'm consistently throwing. So strength feels really good. It's just getting the shoulder moving again and back in like certain ranges before I start playing catch.
For those who may not know, I don't think it was ever going to be in question whether.
Hour number 2 on Gwynn and Chris. 3 o'clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Skraby. A little daily Gambit coming your way. Did not get to participate in this daily Gambit. And it's a good thing because I would have lost probably all of these bets that are up here.
We made a lot of them, actually.
You guys did. I'm looking at that.
We had a busy Friday in the betting department, and we'll see how we did. I did go with the Lakers Friday night, and I'll tell you another thing. I would have definitely gone with them yesterday.
Yeah.
I did not see them losing both those games, but we'll talk about this, Tony, because I have to ask you later.
Yeah.
But your guy, JJ Redick, is getting
scorched
all over the place for his decision not to go to the bench at all in the game yesterday.
Yeah.
He's taking a beating for this, and I think it's a little Monday morning quarterbacking, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll get into it
in the next segment. Let's do this first, Scrabe. What do you think, huh?
Do you like money?
I think about money.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo!
If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in The Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit is our daily sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. Please, everybody, gamble responsibly. Let's start with that Lakers game at Minnesota on Friday night. Chris chose Lakers. I chose Soda. -3.5, the T-Wolves were. And they won by 12, 116-104.
Yes, it was tied with like 3 minutes ago.
Oh.
And didn't finish for the Lakers.
You know what?
That's what we're going to talk about with Tony in the.
You know what I keep doing with the NBA playoffs? I turn it on, I see that it's a close game, and then it goes to commercial, and I turn it off, and then I forget that it's there.
Don't forget that 3-pointers can change the score quickly.
Very quickly.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
All right. Lakers, Minnesota, total score over under 207.5 points on Friday. Chris went over, I went under, and since it was 116-104, it was 220.
I don't know. I like to hear you try to add
No,
stuff.
220.
You got it.
Even though I said 230 on the sheet, 220.
His early math wasn't as good. That's why he had to redo it live.
Yes, it's true. It's true. Boston -5 over Orlando Friday. Chris chose Boston. I chose Orlando. The Magic did win, and they won by 2, so I win that one. Bucks -5.5 against Indiana Friday. We both chose the Bucks, and the Bucks took care of business, 117-101. Now, who scored more in their games on Friday, Giannis or Luka? Chris went Giannis. I went Luka. Luka had 17 points, so not a great showing.
Stomach bug.
He was
that
sick.
Day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those bets that if you knew he was sick, you would want to get on that one.
For sure.
I remember as a kid Steve Young playing a game where he was throwing up in between plays. I have no idea how you play when you're that sick.
Yeah, you tried to get me in trouble last week. Remember you were asking me about somebody being hurt or are they playing the lineup today? I'm like, I can't give you that kind of information when you're talking about betting.
It was Jackson Merrill.
That's who it was. That's right.
There's only one.
It's like, do you hear anything about Jackson Merrill coming back today?
I hear no evil, see no evil.
There's only one player that I know that's ever been incredible when they were sick, and that was the Jordan flu game.
Yes.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Although he started making everybody think that you could actually perform really well.
A lot of guys tried it after that.
It just hasn't worked out for everybody.
Well, we all know the pizza place poisoned that pizza.
But they probably did.
They
probably did.
Cost them the
just
series.
like someone in Dallas probably poisoned my man Luka for that last game. Not Dallas and where they play Minnesota.
Yeah. So Giannis had 37 points, and if you take his 3-point spread, then 34, he doubled what Luka had.
Right.
Reds -1.5 at the Rockies on Friday night. Both of us chose the Reds. I said I can't keep picking the Rocks.
Well, the Rocks lost, but they covered the spread. Reds won 8-7.
It was the only game they were within a run all weekend. So you would have won 2 out of 3 betting against them, and I think you will continue to do that all year.
Padres Rays total score on Friday over under 7 runs. Both Chris and I said under. I don't think we thought it was going to be a 1-0 win for the Rays on Friday, but total score is way under, so we win the bet.
Yeah.
Who had more strikeouts Friday night? Paul Skeens against the Dodgers or Michael King?
Skeens was cutting.
I think they both had 9, though.
Did they?
They did.
Yeah.
So we pushed on that one. They both had 9.
Both had 9.
Edmonton -1.5.
Wait, real quick.
Yeah.
Since Skeens came up, no negativity for Skeens on this go around.
I have come around on.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I have, because I've been watching Paul Skeens pitch, and I like watching him pitch.
Did you watch him pitch against the Dodgers?
I watched highlights. I didn't watch it live.
Do you know that the Padres miss him again this coming weekend? It'll be the 3rd Pittsburgh series since he's been on the team that they've missed him.
I'm not going to lie. Not mad at it.
No. It's very good luck.
Especially if he's going to look the way he looked against the Dodgers when he was.
He was dominant.
I almost forgot I was on radio, but he
was dominant.
He was killing them.
Yeah, he was.
I think you can say he was shoving.
Hey, I don't know if it would have came
You
out
wouldn't have
right.
stopped
That needed the more aggressive
that
word.
SH is just dangerous right now when I'm sick. So
yeah,
let's go ahead.
Okay.
Let's move
Let's
on.
move forward. Yes. But yeah, Paul Skeens is great. I mean, the media just covers him in a way I hate. Edmonton, I don't even remember who they played, but we both chose the Oilers -1.5. Edmonton won 7-4.
What's the series at now?
2-2, unfortunately.
Oh,
the
wow.
Kings,
They won 2 straight, huh?
the Kings blew both games. They
I
led
was
by
about to say they were up the last one I was just
they
watching.
were up by a goal Friday night. They gave up 4 goals in the last 6 minutes.
Yowzers.
And last night they gave up a goal with 28 seconds left and lost in overtime.
This
Tough-
hour at
tough going for the
97.3,
Kings.
the Fan, is brought to you by Robert Half. At Robert Half, we found that 67% of companies want to increase contract talent. That's why our recruiters' expertise and award-winning AI work quickly to find the skilled candidates you want. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. Take it away, Chris.
Don't forget to keep listening for the Tony Gwynn Sr. historic radio call by Uncle Teddy.
Correct.
When you hear it, call in to try to win tickets to tomorrow night's game. All right, here we go for tonight's Gambits. Cleveland Cavs looking to close out Miami, up 3-0. At Miami, Cleveland still favored by 8.5. I would say that's because they beat them by 37 in the last game.
Yeah.
How do you feel if you're Tyler Hero and before that third game you said, boy, that guy can't play much defense, Garland. He's not very good. Okay, well, didn't work out.
That's
you, Tyler, did it?
To be fair, Tyler's point is accurate. Garland doesn't play any defense either.
Well, he might be right, but
he got some protection behind him, and I don't think you're being protected the same way.
Not quite.
And they are just attacking you.
Yes, Heroes' defense is not working either. Who you picking here, Tony? I'll let you go first. The Cleveland -8.5.
I'm going Cleveland.
Cleveland to run away and
Cleveland
wrap it up.
This is for you,
Skraby.
We got Rob Manfred running in the studio. I'm going to go Cavs.
All right, I say the Heat. I just believe too much in Eric Spoelstra. Won't let his team get blown out in the last game. 211 points is the over-under for this. 211 over-under. Scrabe, who you got?
I feel like they're going to score a lot, so I'm going to go over.
Over. Well, we just discussed nobody plays defense on either side, so I'll go over. Tony, 211.
Over.
Over. Golden State -4 against Houston tonight. Warriors lead the series 2-1. Dylan the Villain fouled out of Game 3, and that was pretty much all she wrote once he did. Draymond Green continues to dominate these games, Tony, on defense.
Yeah, he does.
And it's laughable to me that people don't recognize how good he is. People just want to talk about all his crazy stuff. It is crazy. There's no question. But when he puts his mind to it and plays defense, he's wrecking everything Houston's trying to do. And Jimmy Butler is very possibly going to be back for the game tonight. So I will take the Warriors over the talented but not as experienced Rockets.
You know it's bad when it was Jalen Green after the game was asked about Draymond, and he proceeded to say He can't do anything but, kind of the antics.
Oh, yeah.
You're missing the point. You are. Because, yes, he doesn't score at all, but everything that you're trying to do offensively, he's affecting.
He's wrecking it for you. And after the game, Jalen Green tried to get into it.
Yeah. He was in his
with
zone.
Draymond Green, and I'm like, you're just,
you're
this
playing
is not the
right
guy
into
to go to.
you're playing right into his. He knows he got you now.
Yes, he does. Tony, I guess you'll take the Warriors
Yes.
after that discussion.
Me
Skraby?
too. Me too.
Also the Warriors. Donovan Mitchell -1 point, or the aforementioned Tyler Hero, most points scored tonight, Tony. Donovan in the closeout game, or Tyler Hero trying to play hero? Keep Miami alive. Who scores more?
I can see Tyler being the head scorer on here, and they still lose.
Okay. Skraby?
I've never seen anyone ever do that. Donovan Mitchell.
I think Tony's right. I mean, Hero is the only thing Miami has hope for. This is old news, but there was a game about 3 weeks ago. Did you see it, Tony? Heat was down by 4 late in the game. Hero stole the ball, ran unguarded down the court, and stopped at the 3-point line and shot a 3.
Of course he did.
And he missed it, and he took a lot of criticism for it. But in this day and age, it wasn't that terrible of a play.
I literally see it every game. Somebody 3-on-1 break, pull up from the 3.
Yeah. Steph, 4.5 threes. Speaking of that, over under. I think he had 4 the last game. He is unbelievable.
He did.
He's unbelievable. Because the threes that he makes they shouldn't even get to the rim, let alone go in every time.
They just showed a guy on TV. Sorry, that we're watching the Mets and the Nationals.
Jose!
Oh, Zokar's up the bat.
Zokar got in there.
Anyway, a Mets fan, they just plunked Lindor, and a Mets fan, they just caught him on TV going double bird.
Of course they did. They don't know how to do it any other way.
I'm going to go over.
Over Steph, 4.5. It's hard to bet him under. I got to bet over. Tony?
Over.
We have time for 2 more. Florida Panthers, defending Cup champs, are up 2-1. They're home for Game 4, -1.5 goals against Tampa Bay. The Battle of Florida. Tampa Bay won the last game at Florida. They won't win this one. I'll take Florida. Tony?
Florida.
Scrape?
Flaw.
And then we put this in every day because I think it's automatic. Braves are -1.5 at the Rockies.
Oh, yeah, it is automatic.
Take Atlanta. I mean,
Braves, baby.
I mean, the Rockies maybe will lose by a run, but I know they're not going to win.
I'm going with the Rocks.
You're crazy. Colorado's 4-23. That's not good. Let me just put that in perspective for those of you. 27 games is exactly 1/6 of the season. Rockies have 4 wins times 6. They're on pace for 24 wins.
Yowzers.
It's a lot.
No, it's not.
For them.
No, that's not a lot for anybody.
Okay. What are the odds that the worst record of all time is set in back-to-back years?
Well, it's looking pretty good, actually, at this point.
We're heading that direction.
Yes, we are.
All right, let's get to break. On the other side, a little basketball. My Lakers in some trouble. More Gwynn and Chris on the other side. Here's some traffic.
From the 8th.
Chris, hello. Yeah, we're here in Cooperstown for 97.3 The Fan. So excited, the induction weekend for the great Trevor Hoffman. What a class he's going in with, too. Let's take a look. Of course, Alan Trammell from Kearney High School in San Diego. And then, of course, the Detroit Tigers, great shortstop. Jack Morris in a Tiger uniform there, but I always remember him pitching that 1-0 shutout in Game 7 of the 1991 World Series for the Minnesota Twins. Maybe the greatest postseason pitching performance of all time. Chipper Jones, Padre fans remember him. Every fan of a National League team remembers him because he would come in and do damage to that team. Only the second #1 overall pick in the Major League Draft, Chipper Jones, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. The other is Ken Griffey Jr. Vladimir Guerrero, never met a pitch he couldn't swing at, and powerhouse hitter for the Expos, and then, of course, the Angels at the end of his career. Jim Thome, over 600 home runs, mostly with the Cleveland Indians. And then, the guy down here on the end who used to get all these guys out all the time, Trevor Hoffman, the greatest Padre reliever of them all. Two of the greatest outfielders in the history of baseball. Of course, you've got Babe Ruth right here. Ted Williams right over there. I was wondering who the third outfielder would be, and then, of course, it hit me. Tony would be upset if I didn't say that the third outfielder, who will someday probably be displayed right here between these two guys, is obviously Mike Trout. And this is the San Diego Padres locker room here in Cooperstown. Obviously, a couple of jerseys there and hats, gloves, all-star stuff. I think the most interesting thing in this entire display, though, especially this weekend, is a picture in the top corner of Angus Young. He's the guitarist for AC/DC, wearing a Trevor Hoffman uniform, obviously playing Hell's Bells. I know that Trevor went to many AC/DC concerts and was honored by sitting in the front row to watch AC/DC play Hell's Bells in his honor. But there's a picture of Angus Young playing Hell's Bells for Trevor Hoffman, wearing the 51 jersey right there. Chris, hello. Yeah, we're here in Cooperstown for 97.3 The Fan. So excited, the induction weekend for the great Trevor Hoffman. What a class he's going in with, too. Let's take a look. Of course, Alan Trammell from Kearney High School in San Diego.
The Wire today. A couple of talk show hosts in Buffalo. We're interviewing the Bills GM after the draft. But I guess just prior to him coming on, they were very critical of him for not drafting any wide receivers for like the umpteenth year in a row. I guess Buffalo doesn't load up on wide receivers.
They're like Green Bay until this year. Green Bay, I don't know if you guys saw, Green Bay made their pick, and the fans were like, yeah,
thank you.
We took a wide receiver.
Yes. Anyway, this general manager was listening before he came on.
I love it. That's even better.
They brought him on, and he said, before we start, and then he went into like a 10-minute thing and just ripped these guys.
Good.
And basically said, what are you complaining about? Our offense was the best in the league last year. We have Josh Allen throwing touchdown passes to whoever is wide receiver.
Right.
We needed defense to improve, et cetera. He went on and on. He really ripped on these kids. Anyway, I don't feel terrible for these kids. You know why? It's the top story on my ESPN.com sports feed today.
Let me pull mine up.
Right? I mean, these guys are getting all kinds of attention for the wrong reasons, but they're getting attention for upsetting him. I bring this up.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 story down on the top
6
story.
for you,
Yeah.
but earlier today it was getting the treatment at the top. I bring this up because we got the manager's report coming up on Friday at 9 a.m. with Ben and Woods. Now, Mike Shildt would never do that to Ben and Woods. But I'm just throwing it out there. They lose a couple more games. It could be a contentious interview. Don't miss it.
I'll tell you this. If any of us, me, you, Ben Woods, Braden,
right?
If he was coming on one of the shows and we was popping off before he came on, you can bet your bottom dollar he would definitely.
He'd comment.
Definitely.
It's a very strange thing to talk about
really
the guy
is.
while he's on hold.
It doesn't seem to make sense.
At least do it until he calls in.
I didn't say they talked him on hold.
He was just
before
listening.
he came on. He was listening to the show.
In which a lot of guests do.
Why wouldn't you?
That's why you got to spread out your trash talk.
Yeah, I guess so. They clearly didn't do a good job of it.
Yes, the manager's report with Mike Shildt Friday at 9 a.m. is refreshed by EcoWater SoCal. Try alkaline water for just $9.95 a month. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. That's 9 a.m. Friday, where the Mike Shildt manager's report. All right, here's a couple things for you, Tony, and then I'll turn it over to you on your Lakers. Obviously, they fell in games 3, game 4. J.J. Redick is he's taking a lot of it from all corners today because he did not sub in the second half at all yesterday in game 4. People are pointing out you had a Sunday game following a Friday night game. You have LeBron, who's 40. You had Luka, who's been sick. They both played 46 minutes. Did they run out of gas? They say no. The final score of the game maybe indicates that they did. Over the final 4 minutes of the game, Minnesota overcame a 7-point deficit. They outscored the Lakers 19-9. Luka was 1 for 6 in the fourth quarter. LeBron was 0 for 2 and did not score in the fourth quarter. This came on the heels of game 3 when over the last 4:19, Minnesota outscored the Lakers 13-1. So did J.J. Redick blow it for the Lakers, Tony, or is this the old Monday morning quarterbacking? Now that they've lost the game, you got to find a scapegoat.
I feel like those who are upset about the result have not watched the series at all. Okay. I'm just going to go through the bench points for the Lakers through this game. Game 1, they lose 117-95. Connect has 5 points. Vincent has 3. Vanderbilt 2. Finney-Smith 3. For those who can't add like myself,
13.
That's 13 points.
Right.
Not good.
Not
and
many.
by the way, Connect got his 5 in like garbage time.
Right, after it was
so you really could say 8. They had 8 points.
Yeah.
Let's go to game 2 on here. Lakers won game 2. And so you probably expect their bench to have fared a little bit better. Don't think too quick.
It didn't do much.
Also 13 points in game 2.
Okay.
2 guys. Finney-Smith had 7. Vincent had 6.
The rest had
0.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to, what do you think? Game 3.
Yeah.
A 116-104 win by the Timberwolves. We rolled through the bench. We got 8 from Finney-Smith, 3 from Vanderbilt, 5 from Vincent, 3 from Goodwin.
Wow,
so
19.
We've upped the points to 19.
Yeah.
All right. So we moved to the final game, a 116-113 loss to the T-Wolves, and you had 6 points total.
And that was Finney-Smith in 41 minutes.
41 minutes.
6 points.
He got 6.
Yeah.
So
what you're saying is that JJ had very little options.
JJ said, you know what? The bench isn't working. I'm going to stick with the guys that got me here. Now, listen, maybe they ran out of gas. Maybe they didn't. I watched that I didn't think they ran out of gas. I think they didn't execute well offensively. They gave up some stupid fouls at the end.
Okay.
I mean, the and one that Edwards got on a dunk, he's literally already there. Let him score the
Let
2
him
points.
dunk it, yes.
Don't give him the free throw. That gave them the 1 point lead at the time. They would end up getting another one. I don't know. I didn't have a problem with JJ rolling with it. He tried something different. I'd have been more irritated if he kept putting the bench guys in and we got the same exact results that we got every game in the series so far.
Their bench has been getting destroyed. And the reason is because they're not doing much, and Minnesota's is just really good. Naz Reid is one of the best in the league. He was 6th man of the year last year. Secondly, in defense of the Lakers, and I don't often do this in favor of the Lakers, but the refs blew a huge call in this game.
Yes, they did.
It was a huge call. Minnesota was up by 1. The Lakers had the ball. Luka's dribbling up the floor. He gets tripped.
Literally
tripped and falls down. No call. He has to call timeout because he's still in the back court, but he's now on the floor. When they come out of the timeout, now the Lakers only have 1 second to get it over the timeline, and predictably the pass gets intercepted. Now people want to blame LeBron for that pass. He had no choice. He had only 1 second to get it in bounds. Right. If they call the foul as they should have, Luka goes to the line because they're in the penalty. He shoots both, probably makes them both, and the Lakers take the lead. Now, how would the game have turned out from there? I don't know. But you can't miss that call. And and had they won, J.J. Redick would have been the genius for doing what he did. So I think people are being way too critical. They're picking on the old low-hanging fruit.
That's exactly what it is, and that's the kind of ideal in today's day and age. Pick the easiest argument you can find. Yeah. Here's the other thing. Dang it.
After that, LeBron's foul or no? Because that one they first called no foul.
Yeah, that was
gave the ball to the Lakers. And then they overturned that one.
I hate that call, but it is what it is.
Right.
It'll have to come back to me. I can't remember what it was I was going to say about this particular series. It wasn't a series. It's okay. So along those lines, not missing those calls.
Yeah. Can't miss that one.
They missed one in the Knicks-Detroit series.
Did.
And then like 40 minutes later, they release a statement saying that they missed the call. And it was funny. It set the TNT panel off. Charles and
were they
Shaq,
mad that they announced it?
They were mad that they announced it. At this point, that doesn't do anything but piss me off even more.
Yeah, why are you announcing?
Now, Kenny Smith is making a point. Well, it shows that they are
accountable.
No,
it's not showing that. It's showing that they're blowing these games.
Right.
The Detroit game is exactly what the Hardaway was fouled on a 3-point shot.
Clearly.
Down by 1 point.
Yeah.
Clearly fouled, and they looked at it later and said it was clearly a foul. He would have had 3 free throws with no time left. All he would have to do is make 2, and the series is tied at 2. Instead, they're down 1-3. This is a series-changing miss. And you know me, I like to stick up for the refs. You guys are NBA refs. You can't miss this stuff. Not when it's that crucial.
Yeah,
I say. But the Lakers they're in trouble because the Minnesota bench is crushing them. They might be in trouble because Minnesota's young and talented. But I still think, Luka and LeBron now can relax, hopefully get healthier. They can still win this thing. It's not out of the woods to me. I was surprised to see them lose both games, honestly.
I was too. This is not a done deal by any means. I don't think. They got a game at home. They got to win that one. They take care of that one first. Then it gets interesting because if you can find a way to win the Minnesota, you can flip this series.
Back home.
There's actually, you win in LA, the pressure now goes back on Minnesota because they don't want to have to get on the plane and come back to LA. So they're going to want to finish game 6, but first got to win game 5.
All right. And we know in game 6, the refs will cheat for them, right, Skraby? Help it go 7?
Hey,
of course.
Please, by all means, cheat for us. I'm taking all cheats.
That at this point.
Please.
You got to make sure that the TV partners get what they pay for, right?
Am
I right?
All right. We'll take a break from this NBA talk. We'll give the Padres a rest for a little while. Our good friend Mark Zeigler joins us when we come back on Gwynn and Chris.
Coming up on
And now, the challenger, representing the San Diego Padres, Number 20, Kyle Higashioka. He ends the round with 7 home runs. And he has earned a trip to the semifinal matchup. Now the challenger in this semifinal matchup. Number 20, Kyle Higashioka. No doubt about that one. That one carried on Joe Musgrove. That one is gone. He now has bonus time. Just 1 minute remaining. No question about that one. And that's it up to put up in the championship matchup. And that ends the round. Finishes. Let's see what he can do. And now, the challenger in this championship round, Kyle Higashioka. That one carried on to Lansdowne. That one is gone. And he's earned 30 seconds of bonus time. Just 1 minute remaining. That's draw off the right pole. There's a home run. 30 seconds left. And now, the challenger, representing the San Diego Padres, number 20, Kyle Higashioka. Oh, that's a monster home run. That's a home run. He's earned 30 seconds of bonus time.
3:35 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris
See what you
Sella.
miss when you're traveling with the,
I do
with the
miss.
Padres?
I do miss the quirkiness of
Yes, you miss
Matt
all this
Skraby.
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Well, the guy who won the eliminator belt.
All right, here we go.
This is what we've been talking
Here
about
we
all
go. The
break.
eliminator belt, which was to remind people.
Yes, it was a season-long competition, survivor-type pick'em for the NFL.
Right.
We did it for a lot of listeners. There were a ton of people that signed up. We said we were going to give someone a championship belt. We have the championship belt. The person who won never, ever contacted me back to
So you didn't know
claim
who to
the
give the
belt.
belt to, right?
So I was looking for this person. Well, like middle of last week, I log onto Twitter and I just see someone go, "Give me my belt," and I click, and it was in reply to a tweet from like 4 months ago. This person lives in Philly. They just signed up for random contests on the internet, and they have won. So now this person is bugging me in the DMs to send him his belt, and I keep saying,
By bugging you, do you mean that he replied from a 4-month thing, or is he like after he replied?
Because after I saw it, I went to the DMs. I said, "Hey, we've been looking for you for 3 months," and he was like, "I live in Philly," and then I didn't get back to him for a day. He messages me, "Haven't heard back from you."
Yeah, where's my belt?
He wants his belt, man. He won.
I got to figure out if
The
I'm
champ is here.
I'm not paying for the shipping
Would
charges.
you have been mad if he would have texted you or emailed you? The champ is here.
I guess I would, but I shouldn't be because I yell that all the time myself.
You do.
But now he's DMing me, telling me he wants pictures of the belt before we send it.
Well, listen.
So
maybe he doesn't want to accept the belt.
Maybe then you don't have to send it to him. You'd be a
Send him
win-win
a
for
picture.
you. Send him a picture. You might get yourself out of having to send it to him.
Daily gripe early. People who sign up for random contests all over the
my
country
Lord.
and then give me my belt 4 months later.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you've noticed, but Matthew Skraby takes everything personal.
Pretty much.
He took it as a personal shot, as if he's telling Skraby, "Hey, man, I've been waiting on my belt for 3 months. Why aren't you got it to me?" That's
kind
how
of the vibe I get.
That's how Skraby heard, "Give me my belt."
He's a Philly guy. He's an Eagles fan. His profile picture has an eagle.
You are
The guy went through the whole season, picked the winner every week. Give the guy his due.
Hey,
I am
I
not
would
arguing.
be talking like that too. Give me my belt.
I am not arguing. I just never thought we were going to have to send it to Philadelphia.
No.
I didn't know that people in Philadelphia were even seeing this tweet.
We could make you drive it to Philadelphia.
Hey, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll ship it myself. Anyway.
If you love Mediterranean food, try Spiro's for authentic Mediterranean cuisine in Coronado or La Jolla. For dining or takeout options, visit spiroscuisine.com. Mark Zeigler will join us here shortly to talk a little Aztec basketball. Things are looking a little brighter these days than perhaps when the season ended.
Everybody's excited about 6 months from now, for sure.
Let's
Seems like it's been a good off season.
Let's bring our friend Mark Zeigler, San Diego Union Tribune. Mark, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
We're doing great. We're doing good. Talking a little Aztec basketball. Magoon Guath, guess went through some of the kind of the rigors of perhaps getting in the draft, decided against it. He's coming back to San Diego State. He also had knee surgery recently. Can you tell us a little bit about the return and the knee surgery?
Well, not a lot of details out and confirmed on the knee surgery, just that he had it. It was arthroscopic, and they expect him to be ready for the season. And, I kind of pieced together what I knew and what was sort of announced and not announced after he first hurt the knee. And my sense is that it was PCL surgery and that it was what they call an augmented repair, which is where they attach like a piece of suture tape to the ligament to sort of strengthen it. And also it heals quicker than if you do a full reconstruction. And obviously he didn't rupture the ligament, because when he hurt it against Utah State on February 22nd, I mean, he would have been out from that day forward, and he wasn't. And so I think that's what they did. And, I can't get a real read on how long it's going to be. I've heard some people say 6 months. I've heard others say, nah, it's more like 5 if the surgery goes well. And so that puts him anywhere from 6 weeks to 2 weeks out from the season. So I have a sense he's going to have enough time to get ready. I think just what he's going to miss is some of the off-season stuff, which really starts for them in July. It goes to the month of July, a little bit into August. They get a little bit of a break, and they come back in month of September. So let's say it's 2.5 months of workouts he'll miss. But other than that, I think he should be back. So I guess that's the best news of the whole thing.
Yeah, I can confirm he's on campus. I didn't actually make contact with him.
Oh, good.
I hope I bumped into him.
Chris Burton, the star player.
I stayed clear, but I did see him on campus a couple last week or so. Mark, just through the entire offseason, people are very excited by what you've been writing and what they've been doing. And, you look, if Miles Byrd ends up coming back, and I think that's still up for grabs, but, to have him back, BJ Davis, Taj DeGorville, the addition of Reese Waters, I think we can't forget about that. Farrell Compton, Magoon, Miles Heide. That is if they didn't add anybody, but they have added people. Talk about where they've filled in, and should we be as excited as we are?
Yeah, what they did is they added people very strategically. They went out and got some transfers, 3 transfers that really address needs. The number one need, obviously, when Nick Boyd left, was point guard. They got Sean Newman Jr., a kid from the LA area. He played a couple years at Fullerton, but he was really kind of his JC coach, Perry Webster, called him a COVID kid. And he is one of those kids who just slips through the cracks, right? We can't go out and see him play. His high school season's kind of shortened. We can't go see him in, there's a lot of spring evaluation AAU games and tournaments for unsigned seniors, maybe late bloomers. That all got wiped out. And he just heard about him and took him, and then he got to Fullerton, and then their whole season got wiped out by COVID. And then he just and then the next year he hurt his knee. So he was really under the radar, and he's been working his way through JC and then Louisiana Tech, number 3 in the country in assists per game at 7.9, pass first, exactly what they needed. I think late in the season, while Nick Boyd was a point guard in name, he also started, maybe because he recognized they needed more scoring, he was looking for his shot more than he was looking for the pass. There were some guys open, he didn't pass, he elected to shoot, and I can't dispute that they needed scoring. But this is a guy who's been looking to pass, and they have so many weapons now, particularly if Bird comes back. But you mentioned Reese Waters. The second half of the season, Magoon Guath. He's really, really, I think I want to say upgrade because, some players are better in one area than another, but in terms of the pass first mentality and what this team needs, he's an upgrade in that area. And then they got Jeremiah Oden, who, people are going to sleep on and just think, well, he'll just be a backup to Magoon, et cetera, et cetera. But this is a guy who in a limited role did a lot of really, really good things at Wyoming. He can shoot the 3, he can drive. He's 6'9", he can play the 3 if you need him to. He's long, athletic, and he's a 6th-year senior. He'll bring that veteran leadership and experience that they were lacking last season. Same with Sean Newman. And then the other guy, Latrell Davis from San Jose State, they went and got as kind of a cover, I think, in case Bird does go pro. He can slot, plug and play right into that position. Probably a better offensive player than Bird, to be honest, right now. A better shooter, better scorer. Doesn't give you the defensive length and athleticism, but man, great kid. He's from England, and I think huge addition to what they have. So they really nailed everything in terms of getting players back and then adding pieces they needed.
Mark Zeigler joins us here, San Diego Union Tribune, and Zieg, just a random question. I thought about this today when I saw it go across my phone. I saw Baker Mazzara ended up transferring to USC. Was there any interest in those two perhaps coming back together again?
I'm sure there's interest because they love him as a player and they know what he can do on the floor. He's just a winner. He's won 120 something games in college. It's again the 6th year, a lot of experience, a lot of big game experience, can play multiple positions. Great passer. I think his passing, people just forget about how good of a passer he was. And it was on display in the Final Four. But I think he's just kind of priced out of the market.
Yeah.
He left. He was at Auburn, and I think they kind of had a deal in principle, and it kind of fell apart. And my understanding is he probably doubled the money, so you can start doing the math on how much he's getting. And I don't necessarily blame those kids. Same with Nick Boyd. If you're not a surefire NBA guy, or you may be too old for the NBA, this is your best earning year of basketball. You can go to Europe, but you're not making $2 or $3 million in Europe. You're just not. And you could probably make as much in 1 year of college and you might make in your entire pro career combined. And so for these kids to want to go out and grab it, it's hard to blame them. But I think that's probably a little bit of the case of what's going on here.
Mark Zeigler is our guest, and San Diego State basketball, it's not the season, but it's always the season now with the transfer portal and everything and the recruiting. And Mark, talking about what you just mentioned, I mean, the kind of earning power and the money that some of these guys can make. How do the Aztecs end up getting LZ Harrington and a 4-star recruit and, CIF state title, St. John Bosco? Is this, it sounds like a great feather in their cap as far as what the talent might be. Why would he choose here and not elsewhere where maybe he makes more money? I hate to put it in those terms, but it seems like that crosses my mind now.
Well, San State's done a really good job of understanding we have money, but we don't have as much money as other people do. So we've got to find guys that want to be here because they want to be here, not because they want to be here because of what we're paying them. And they firmly believe that's how you win. And they have won with those kind of guys. Reese Waters is one, and who doesn't really, money isn't an issue. And partly because, to be honest, his family isn't in that kind of economic situation where there's a desperation to get money. LZ Harrington, same thing. I mean, his parents are both doctors. I'm sure they're pretty well to do. Barack Obama is a family friend. I mean, he told me, he goes, look, I've been exposed to a lot of very, very successful people in life. And I'm not just talking about basketball. I'm in basketball, and LeBron James is his club coach and Bryce James is one of his friends. And so this is a guy who is a little bit more mature and sees a bigger picture. And, his dad is really ill. He's been very open about that. He's interested in relationships. I mean, he kept saying the word relationships to me when I talked to him. And that's something San Diego State excels in. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, Brian Dutcher is a very likable coach. His players love playing for him. The coaching staff is very veteran. They're very mature. They're not a bunch of, you don't have, I mean, obviously you have a Greco rope, but you have a lot of guys who've been in coaching for a long time. They're parents. All of them are parents with young kids. They understand what it is to be a parent. And so I think the kids that appeals to are the kind of kids they're getting. And LZ Harrington 100% falls into that bucket. He was not looking for a payday. He was looking for a home. And he even said to me, he goes, I picked USC when I decommitted from Harvard initially just because it was close. My dad was sick. I considered San Diego State, but I never went and visited it. That was my mistake. And when I reopened my recruitment, it allowed me to come visit some of the places that I didn't visit before. And those relationships were still open with the coaches. They were happy for him just wherever he chose. And when it opened up again, the relationships were there, and he came down to visit and just fell in love with it. And yeah, huge feather. I mean, this guy, I think, has an enormous upside, 6'6" point guard. Great floor vision and just a hard worker, and I think he's going to fit in perfectly.
Mark Zeigler joins us here, San Diego Union Tribune. And Mark, one of the last times I think I got to speak to you was right after the Aztecs lost in the tournament, and we were talking, and we were seeing how the dynamic was changing and how difficult it was going to be for a school like San Diego State to maintain the type of success. But kind of listening to this conversation today, it does seem like there's still some hope out there. Are there enough kids out there you think that are interested in those type of things like relationships? Because I don't know that San Diego State's ever going to be able to bring in the type of dollars that some of these other schools, that have a really good basketball program bring in. So are there enough kids like that to maintain this program, continuing to play at the level that they play at?
It's a great question. And I think the answer is we don't know. I mean, they've been able to find them so far. But if so many things have to match up, they've got to be a kid with that kind of perspective. Maybe a kid that isn't desperate for money for various reasons, for family reasons. the kid who's interested in relationships and development and all the things the San Diego State can offer. But, to be honest, they've got to have some money. And that's where the Mace Foundation has done an incredible job in getting enough money for them to think about, okay, I'll take a little bit less, but here's all the other bonuses I get, as opposed to, there's a lot of pluses here, but I got to have at least this much, I think.
Yeah.
And so I think that expands the pool a little bit, if that makes sense, to have some money. But, what they did this year was incredible. When you look around the country and how many programs are just rebuilding from scratch, even in town. I mean, UCSD and USD are just having to do major overhauls. But again, it's going to be a year-to-year thing. You look ahead to next year. Okay, they're going to lose some seniors or lose some key pieces. Can they keep enough to keep it rolling next year? And how much money they're going to need next year just to be in that conversation. And it just, the one thing I've learned from all this, it's so dynamic. It changes almost week to week, and you just can't project out. And I think that's what the staff's done a good job, just saying, look, let's just be really good this year, and then we'll figure out next year.
Before you go, Mark, I wanted to ask you, a couple minutes left. Always had, great stuff, and I feel totally up to date now on the Aztecs. I'm watching Jaden McDaniels in this series for Minnesota against the Lakers. He is really good, right? The Aztecs had his brother, Jalen McDaniels, who was the higher accredited player, if I'm not mistaken, back in college. He's kind of in the G League, back and forth of the NBA. Did the Aztecs ever come close to getting Jaden to play with Jalen? And how did all that
It's a great question.
What do you remember, if you remember any of it?
I do. So Jaden was the higher ranked. Jaden who's in the NBA. He was a 5-star, top 25 player. The parents loved San Diego State because Jalen was a little bit under the radar, later developing, similar body type, long, athletic. And they just loved the way they developed Jalen, and they really wanted Jaden to consider San Diego State. San Diego State was in the mix to the end. The issue was he was young, and do you want to take a really talented guy who's 5 stars, who doesn't know how to play defense yet, and have him for 1 year and then lose him? And you look at all the pain that they went through last year with some of the freshmen, right? It's a sophisticated, complex, a lot of reads in their defensive system, and they made some mistakes. They made a lot of mistakes. They had to dumb down a lot of stuff. And the thing was, but next year they'll know everything and they'll be a lot better. Well, you knew that with Jaden, he was probably gone, and you wouldn't get that second year. And what they decided, and this was Brian Dutcher making a decision, they went and got a 5th-year guy who sat on the bench instead. And a lot of people raised their eyebrows and going, what is Dutch doing? Well, that player was Yanni Wetzel, and they went 30-2. And remember, in that season, Nathan Mensah was wiped out for the second half of the season, and then Yanni was really the only big, and he had a major role. He set all the ball screens for Malachi Flynn. He had some monster games that bailed him out of some tough spots, and he had experience. And so that's what they figured. If we're only going to have a guy for 1 year, let's get the experienced guy. And so it didn't really turn him down. He ended up going to Washington. He's from Seattle. Right. Jaden did. But it was an interesting dynamic, and man, it worked out well for the Aztecs.
Yeah, interesting.
No doubt about it. Well, as always, Mark, love catching up with you, my man, and we'll do it again here soon.
Thanks so much, Mark, for everything.
Yep, my pleasure. We'll talk to you guys.
Mark Zeigler, San Diego Union Tribune, always getting us right when it comes to the Aztecs.
Yeah, every time I watch this Jaden McDaniels, I'm like, I thought we kind of almost had him. I wasn't sure.
I remember talking to Mark on this show about Jaden. He didn't end up coming here for the reasons Zig just kind of gave us, but he was one and done at Washington. And
he is good.
He's one of those players that's done all his developing in the NBA.
Right.
Like he's
really good now.
And he is, man.
Yeah.
The thing that stands out to me more than anything else about Jalen Daniels, he does not get tired. I haven't seen him huffing. He guards the best player on every team, and I never see his chest like breathing, like it's searching for air.
I wish I could do that.
Yeah, it's
I
kind
do
of
too.
annoying.
It is annoying. It's definitely annoying. Let's get to break. 4:00 hour on the way. More Gwynn and Chris. Little
Chris versus the fan.
I couldn't get it out, but that's next. More Gwynn and Chris.
to Mark Zeigler. He's seems pretty bullish, as do all of us, on what the Aztecs have done this off-season basketball. Of course, we got a football season to get to before that, but always good to catch up with Mark. 4:01 is the time. Hour number 3, we got Chris versus the fans here in just a sec. Chance for you to win fabulous cash and prizes. Well, actually, $150 gift card you could win, so it is cash, right? 2 tickets to see either Disturbed, Ghost, or Pantera in Las Vegas. 2-night stay at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. And the gift card. You can get tickets out there for all 3 shows now at Ticketmaster.com. We'll play Chris for the fans. Quick update, Mets and Washington. And this is how baseball can go. In their last 11 games, the Padres have scored 23 runs. The Mets have almost scored that many today. They're leading 19-5 in the bottom of the 9th inning. It's been quite the day for Brandon Nimmo fans.
4
for 6, 2 homers, 9 RBIs. That'll get her done. Although in his last at bat, he faced shortstop Ahmed Rosario pitching for Washington, and he grounded out. So there you go. Speaking of big games, how about Eugenio Suarez?
Man,
4 bombs
and a loss.
Hang
with him, dog.
Only the second time in modern history that's ever happened.
It's hard to hit 4 homers and be on a losing side of that.
Bob Horner did it many years ago as a Brave and lost to I think it was the Expos the night he did his 4-home run game. But not a bad day for old Eugenio, who's now the MLB leader with 10 on the year. Skraby, you ready for a little Chris versus the fans?
Yeah, I just hate how the Diamondbacks are playing well.
They didn't win the game.
I know, but still, they are playing well.
All right.
It's just a thought of mine.
You don't, because your team's not playing well, you don't want anybody to play well.
Isn't that how it works?
I think so. Misery does love company.
Isn't that what?
Company,
aren't you guys hoping for every other team to be terrible this year except for the Padres?
I don't care about every other team. I only care about the Padres and the teams that are in their division. I want them to all lose.
Yeah.
So that's why. Yeah.
I don't care about the Mets, the Nationals, the Angels,
Yankees.
There's a bunch of them. You can go down the list.
All right.
About the other 25 teams, and
it just annoys me when teams are good like that when they're not.
We're still good.
We were just good.
We're still good.
No, but the Padres are supposed to be good.
And who's not?
The Diamondbacks were in the World Series 2 years ago.
We all know that was a fluke.
No,
we all know that was a fluke.
Okay.
They came storming back last year before we.
Why don't we
burst their
play
bubble.
before you say a lot of more dumb things?
Touche.
Good point.
Crazy.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself,
howdy do.
Now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Chris versus the fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, Chris, did you announce the second prize? I'm sorry, I was too focused on my Diamondback hate.
No, I didn't.
Okay, because you're going to win 2 tickets to Rodney Carrington at California Center for the Arts, Escondido, on August 29th. Get tickets now at artcenter.org. So, Rodney Carrington, you're going to win those tickets today. The rules, you have to make it through 3 questions. Each question is going to get more difficult. If you get the question right, you move on. If you get the question wrong and Chris gets it right, you are eliminated. But if Chris gets it wrong, then you move on to the next question or you win. If you're a first-time player, nice job.
My mic was off. Sorry.
Nice job, everybody. Then let us know, and you'll get the first question for free today. All right. Let's get to our contestants now.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Let's go to Lewis in Poway.
Lewis, in my place. Poway. What's up, Lewis?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're
very
well,
good,
my
Lewis.
friend.
Very good.
Hey, before I leave you, Chris, on question 1, Scraves, today is your lucky day, man.
Okay.
I'm going to Philly next week, so let's talk about something.
Oh, Lewis, that is hilarious. I'm not going to put that on you though, because this guy seems like he's going to make it difficult.
Hey, what a great idea!
What a nice guy. Lewis will deliver the belt for you.
I don't deliver the belt. Let's talk about what you're going to do for me, though.
See, that's the problem. That's the problem.
Good thinking, Lewis. Good thinking.
Transactional only.
You're talking to a guy who can't offer much.
Yeah.
So,
All right, Lewis.
actually, people said, Tony, that you should bring it with when you go to Philly, late June. So I'll give it to you.
Okay.
So you can take it to
I'll take
Philly.
Philly with me then.
But thank you for the offer, Lewis. That was
Tony
nice.
will leave it at the top of the.
I'm sure I leave my own stuff.
Leave it at the top of the Rocky stairs and make the person jog up to get them.
All right, here we go. First question, Lewis. What player was selected number 1 overall in the NFL draft?
Cam Ward.
Cam Ward indeed was.
Nice job.
Well done.
Question number 2.
By the way, his story is awesome.
I know.
It's crazy.
Was it Incarnate?
Incarnate Word.
Incarnate Word?
Yeah, because no one wanted to give him an
Washington
offer.
State?
Yeah,
Miami.
crazy. Number 1 pick.
At Washington National games, what run around the stadium is wait, let's try it again. At Washington National games, what runs around the stadium in a race? That's a weird question.
Wow.
He got it. I was going to say that's kind of a weird way to ask that, but he got it. He knew what you said.
He was on it.
Question.
At least he could have guessed sausages, but that would have been.
Do you enjoy
Milwaukee
the president's
version.
race?
No, I don't.
But that would have been a Milwaukee thing.
Nice work.
Yeah, and the freeze is Atlanta.
The freeze. Are they still doing that?
I don't know.
I haven't
The
seen any
Padres in a
highlights
while.
this year.
The Padres used to do the characters from the Will Ferrell San Diego movie, which I'm.
Did they?
Anchorman? Yes, they did.
Anchorman
Yes, they did.
characters.
Yes,
they
they
did that
did.
for a whole season.
Yes,
Now
they
they
did.
only do it once in a while.
They had like
What years was this?
Ooh, I don't know.
Is this in the rough ones?
Just before you started, I think.
Okay, yeah, this was
doing
the rough.
game.
This was the rough
it
time.
was. It
5,
was,
6
but I
years
do
ago?
remember this. Yes.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Question number 3.
Luis has waited long enough. Let's go.
Oh, this is a good one. Which 2 teams faced off in the first official World Series back in Chris's time of 1903?
Did you actually put that in there?
No,
Straight?
I
I
didn't.
did ad-lib that.
No.
First World Series,
Oh,
1903.
wow. In 1903, huh?
Who was it?
Let's go with the Boston Braves
Boston, okay.
and the Yankees. I don't know.
Boston Braves and Yankees.
Stay there.
Yeah, you're going to hate me.
I knew you were
Well, he was watching the game.
I umped.
I
You umped
Second
it?
base umpire.
Man,
for-
how are we
You've
just
been-
learning about
You've
this?
been an umpire in many different forms of life, huh?
Right, in 120 years as an umpire.
And when you in 1903, you go strike called here, strike called here, ball here, strike here.
It was Pittsburgh and Boston. Pittsburgh won the series, I believe, 5-3.
I need the Boston name.
Pilgrims.
Pilgrims.
Pretty sure. Are you going to buzz me for that?
Yeah, Tony, what do you think?
Don't come to me. You're the judge. You buzzed me.
Tony, what do you think? Here is the answer. The answer is yes, the Pirates, but the other answer is the Boston Americans.
That's fine. If you want to, Luis can win. He's a good dude. It's all right with me.
Judge, what are you deciding here?
Huh? Luis, you win.
I feel like this is a very unpopular decision, but nice job, Luis.
Nice
You're going to
job,
have
Luis.
to stay right there. By the way, I have a little note on this game. Due to the overflow crowds at the Exposition Park games in Allegheny City, if a batted ball rolled under a rope in the outfield that held spectators back, a ground rule triple would be scored. 17 ground rule triples were hit in the 4 games played at the stadium. 17 ground rule triples.
Balls just rolling under the rope.
Yes, I ruled a ground rule triple on a couple of those.
Okay.
So, Chris, tell us how you came up with the ground rule triple.
Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time. I believe there's an actual ground rule triple in current Major League Baseball.
There is?
There is. If you throw your glove
that's
at
true.
a batted ball.
You cannot do that.
And do you have to hit the ball or just
no,
throw
you
it?
just have to, you have to
intentionally throw your glove trying to knock down a line drive or something. That is a triple. I don't know how they ever arrived at that.
Yeah.
That is kind of crazy, yeah.
I've seen it once.
Yeah, I haven't seen it myself. I don't know why I thought the Pilgrims. I guess Boston never was the Pilgrims, so I got them confused. But Boston Americans, 1903.
I'm being told
Very
I'm a
good.
hard judger. So
Also, I was also wrong. Boston won the series.
yes,
over
they did,
Pittsburgh.
and it was like 8 or
Sounded
9 games
backwards.
too.
Well, it was always best of 9.
Best
back
of 9,
in the day.
okay.
That's insane.
Best of 9. Till,
It's
I
best
don't know
of
what year
9,
they
but
changed
hey,
it.
They weren't playing as many regular season games either at that
Right.
point. So
It was best of 9, but hey, if it rolls under the rope, triple.
ground rule triple.
Well, is that any different than a player throwing his glove at a ball?
I think it's because they didn't
hard to-
have a fence.
Yeah, I was
Putting
about to
the
say
runner on
that's
third?
you could just be hitting ground balls just for triples like all game long.
Hit a worm burner out there and you get a triple.
Worm burner.
All right, this is
All right.
not me. This is you, Chris.
Good for you, Luis. Congrats. Stay on the line. Skraby will pick you up there. And consider yourself a fortunate winner today. I believe Skraby was very kind to award you the title when I come up with a World Series matchup from 122 years ago, and you don't give it to me.
I don't think. Well, you didn't get
He's
the
a-
team
Well,
right.
you're
He's a
ridiculous. You're absolutely.
You didn't get the
you're
team
a
right.
stickler. Yes, he's a stickler for accurate facts. We know this.
I don't think it's crazy that you knew who played in the first World
I
Series.
almost choked on this when you said that.
I don't.
You're always looking for accuracy.
I am the most accurate person on the show.
Sure you are.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a timeout here. A little traffic coming up. Much more Gwynn and Chris ahead, and the merry developments will ensue following a short timeout.
From the 8th.
Stand up, stay low. Hands on the heart. Stay low. Wait on all the way down. Lay that brake. All the way. Here we go. Up there.
Oh, you idiot. Typical tandem student right there.
I tried. I wrecked your good job, buddy.
Fun, huh?
You need help with anything? Okay, I'm nervous. Stand up, stay low. Hands on the heart. Stay low.
.419 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Cello, Matthew Skraby.
I got to laugh.
What you got?
I love this headline.
Give it to me.
I'm not telling you which side of the fence I'm on.
Okay.
I like the headline. President Trump endorses the tush push as the Eagles visit White House.
I think that is kind of funny.
I do too. Telling you what side I'm on the tush push side, but I just think it's a funny headline. The Eagles
really
evidently
funny.
came to the White House. He
Jalen
likes
Hurts
the
did
tush
not
push.
go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about all that stuff. I'm just bringing up the fact that the leader of the free world is a fan of the tush push.
Tush push.
There
Stop
you
it.
go.
Is he an Eagle fan? Honestly, I'm
I
asking.
really don't know.
He owned an NFL or not an NFL team.
He
but-
owned the New Jersey Generals in
Yes.
the United States Football League, and the first person he snagged was
Herschel
Walker. Yes, who then became famous for.
That all makes sense to you.
Wow.
you don't know who Herschel Walker is?
I know who
No, he
Herschel
didn't.
Walker is,
He's
but
a-
it just made the connection for
Oh,
me.
right. Herschel's now a.
It just made the connection.
He's now a.
The Eagles, great.
You know, the White House
politician.
stuff can get kind of crazy with athletes and teams because I was talking to a Dodgers fan over the weekend and they were very angry at their team.
I don't know if you
very angry.
I don't know if you saw our good pal Dylan Hernandez, his article.
I
about
did.
It was
I did.
pretty
Well,
scathing.
Basically, people were wondering why the Dodgers went to the White House when they were kind of erasing Jackie Robinson's records. And so people were not happy that the Dodgers were so excited to be there as Jackie Robinson's records were being erased.
Rightfully so.
And this Dodgers fan was like, to the point where they were like, I can't cheer for them right now because that was so egregious to me. So it can cause a lot of conversation.
It gets a little tricky.
A little dicey.
Dylan Hernandez's article was indeed scathing and pointed. Mookie Betts responded to it as the lone black athlete on the Dodgers. I don't know if he still is, but he was several years ago when he had chosen not to go to the White House. I think the first time around.
Yes.
But this time he went. He explained why. So
He
anyway,
said-
if that's stuff that interests you, you can find it all.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to make it about him, which I do kind of appreciate because it does. Now we're talking about Jalen Hurts not being there. It takes it into a different direction. But anyway,
All I said was that the guy
we just talked
endorsed
about
the tush push.
You brought that.
You brought
oh
all
Madness
this
yeah,
stuff
I
in
wanted
here.
to talk to you guys about that.
I'm so happy.
Let's
you
talk
did.
about policy now.
Let's not.
No, I'm
let's
just
talk-
kidding. I have no idea about policy.
How about more important things? The Cleveland Browns say they will not exercise quarterback Kenny Pickett's fifth-year
I was going
option,
to break that out to you.
which
yeah.
now
There it is.
leaves the Browns with 4 quarterbacks.
They really have 3 because Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles
Right.
again.
So
I
it's
just
going to
can't see
be
him.
it'll be Joe Flacco or the 2 rookies, Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders.
Joe Flacco's like, what? Now I'm a babysitter? Now I got just 2 rookies with me in the room?
If
I think Shador Sanders is going to play. I think he's going to do well. I have a weird feeling. I don't know. You know, Mel Kiper, who's not my
That's your
all-time
guy.
favorite.
That's
Yeah.
your guy.
Here's the thing with Mel. I don't want to say he's growing on me, but I've learned that I have to live with him now at the draft. And, he at least will take a side. I'll give him that. And, people
sometimes at a bad decision.
Oh,
sometimes.
my goodness. He said that Jamarcus Russell would be the next John Elway.
Wait, yeah.
So that was one of his more famous ones. He's had many others.
It's not so much that he picks the side, it's how hard he picks the side.
And how much and who he compares these people to.
According to Mel Kiper, the Detroit Lions were idiots for drafting Megatron when they could have had Brady Quinn.
Yes,
that's right.
I sent you guys a video of all of Mel Kiper's greatest hits.
I went through that. That was pretty good.
His last one, Jimmy Clausen. If he's not a great quarterback, I'm done. I'm out.
That was one of my favorites.
And everybody's like, okay, we're waiting.
Jury's still out on Jimmy Clausen.
No, it's not.
In Mel Kiper's mind, it is.
Not out. But he thinks Shador is going to be great. And I think this kid has a chance if he handles this slight in the right way.
Yeah.
He certainly has the skill and ability. So I hope that he just really works his butt off to prove everybody wrong. I hope he makes a list of all the teams that needed quarterbacks that passed on him 4 times. I hope he notes that the Giants got Jackson Dart, and I hope he notes some of the other quarterbacks where they went. And he wants to, stick it to all those people. This can turn out to be a blessing in disguise.
I wanted him to be like Amon-Ra St. Brown.
He has a list.
Yeah.
He can name
memorized it.
All 10 wide receivers that were taken ahead of him.
He can tell you the team, the time. I want that to be Shador. I hope that he does. I was listening to a guy I used to work out with, Gerald McCoy. He's now doing CBS.
He was a Brown, was he not? At some point, or Buccaneers?
Buccaneer.
Yes, he was a
Buccaneer.
Yeah. And he went somewhere else before he retired, but
I think Carolina. He went to a couple of different places. But he was saying that, and it was very tough football talk. Basically, like, don't want to see any social media unless it's like a paid sponsor type deal. I don't want to see none of that. I just want to see you kind of disappear, and all of a sudden you pop up because you have earned whatever is coming your way. And that's not to say that he hasn't. Remember, this is a kid that took Jackson State from irrelevance to a team that we were covering, did the same thing in Colorado. But as Gerald said, this is the NFL now. This is the best of the best. We don't want to hear from you unless you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. And
it's going to be hard for him not to be heard from, because every time the guy walks out of his house to go get a sandwich, there's an article on him.
We don't want to hear from you on your behalf. If someone else is talking about you, so be it. You can't control none of that. But I think
that's great advice.
I think from what I have seen of him, I think he's capable of just putting his head down, going to work.
Well, this is the best spot that I can think of.
You know who else I thought made, and it's on the Colorado same timeline. I thought Jacksonville's pick was tremendous.
Travis Hunter?
I hadn't thought about the fact, he's a Florida boy. He's going to be playing in his hometown. They need somebody like a Travis Hunter. They already got, their quarterback situation. Well, we think they have their quarterback situation taken care of. They're just trying to feel around him.
Yes, I hope the fans in London love him
because they're going to be playing
most of their games
That's
there.
Right.
Yeah.
You get a passport, Travis.
Well,
you're going to be using it.
And I know that, Skraby, I don't know how you felt about your 49ers draft, but the Dolphins was pathetic. And, Kiper had them 30th. He had them 30th out of 32 teams, trumped only by the USA Today reporter today, who had them 31st out of 32 teams.
What did they do that was so bad?
It's what they didn't do.
They
didn't add to their offensive line, which is...
Where did they pick at?
They were 13th. They got a defensive line.
This was supposed to be an offensive line draft.
They didn't add to their offensive line. They added a defensive lineman who was only the second best guy in his own team and was probably carried by the guy that was next to him.
I read that guy...
With their 13th pick?
Yeah.
I read that Mason Graham, I think is his name.
He was the first one chosen by somebody better. The Dolphins took the second guy from Michigan.
Okay, well, he is apparently, from what I read, has the best conditioning of any defensive lineman in the draft.
Well, he's going to need it because he's going to have to be running up and
I mean,
down.
he's in Miami. It's hot.
It's going to be pathetic. The offensive lineman they took from Arizona in the second pick, they traded up to get. Everybody said they didn't need to. The only interesting pick the Dolphins made, I thought, was their last pick. Quinn Ewers, the quarterback from Texas,
7th.
who actually might be something someday as a backup. Who knows? But they also drafted a running back for the 28th year in a row that they don't need. And they really should have taken like 4 offensive linemen and 3 cornerbacks. That's what they should have done. But they can't help themselves to just be dumb.
I'm sorry, man.
I know
that you had to go through that.
I did. It was terrible.
You should have heard him on draft night, Tony. He was like, coming up next, we'll see what dumb pick the Dolphins make.
And they didn't let me down.
They set you up perfectly.
I thought the 49ers did a great job.
You're happy with that.
They do this is what they do. They take a ton of defensive players in the draft, see which ones hit, and then they took a quarterback in the 7th round. I don't really know. Rourke from Indiana. Where did they rank? Where did USA Today rank the 49ers?
I'm looking for them as you speak, and
you're gonna have to look at the top.
You know what? You might be right, because I'm going to the front page. Nope, they're not on the front page.
They're probably middle of the pack.
They didn't get ranked. No, they got to be here somewhere.
They're probably. Oh, here comes the newspaper.
The newspaper shuffling. I can't find the 49ers.
Well, let's do this.
It doesn't matter.
You look for it while we're on the break. We're going to get to break. Big 5 on the other side. More Gwynn and Chris.
Ben and Wood.
All right, it's time for the Beaver Nuggets. So the story is somehow Buc-ee's got brought up. I think Frank brought it up.
Yes.
And it's a rest stop / mall / entertainment zone, super center. And someone said on the chat yesterday that they have like 100. They went to one with like 100 gas pumps, which is a lot, I guess. But while we were talking about this, Sam Levitt was in New York listening, and he goes, "Put me on, put me on, put me on." And so we put him on, and he's talking about how much he loves Buc-ee's. And so we got into the conversation, and it ended up being about the Beaver Nuggets. And so I had to order them because I find the name Beaver Nuggets very gross. I find it gross. But we're going to go with this. It's kind of like a Cheeto / a corn pop.
It's like a cheese doodle.
A cheese doodle. And we're going to eat them right now. I don't think these are bad, but here we go. I like it. It tastes like a corn pop.
I was going to say it tastes like a waffle, really.
It does kind of taste like a waffle. You know what? I'm in. These are good.
Yeah, I'm not.
You want another one?
No, I don't want another one. But yeah, I mean, it tastes like a waffle, like a waffle with syrup on it.
It's pretty good. I gotta say, I'm not hating these at all. Actually, they're very good. I like this. The waffle is a perfect explanation. If you've ever had, I'm sorry, I'm talking on the microphone with food in my mouth. But if you've ever had a what is it? A Lay's potato chip that's waffle flavor. It's kind of like that. Sad Fryer says, "Are they cheesy?" No, they're not cheesy at all. Actually, they're sweet.
No, it's like a hard waffle with syrup on it, with dried encrusted syrup on it.
Now I don't exactly know what the puff is. It could be just fake something.
Most likely. I mean,
it's like caramel a little bit too. All right, I gotta stop eating these because I will eat the whole bag. I love these things. I'm gonna leave them here though because I will eat this if I go home. It's just gonna be a bunch of Beaver Nuggets in my bed as I sleepwalk or something like that. All right, it's time for the Beaver Nuggets. So the story is somehow Buc-ee's got brought up. I think Frank brought it up.
Yes.
And it's a rest stop / mall / entertainment zone, super center. And someone said on the chat yesterday that they have like 100. They went to one with like 100 gas pumps, which is a lot, I guess. But while we were talking about this, Sam Levitt was in New York listening, and he goes, "Put me on, put me on, put me on." And so we put him on, and he's talking about how much he loves Buc-ee's. And so we got into the conversation, and it ended up being about the Beaver nuggets. And so I had to order them because I find the name Beaver nuggets very gross. I find it gross. But we're going to go with this. It's kind of like a Cheeto / a corn pop.
It's like a cheese doodle.
A cheese doodle. And we're going to eat them right now. I don't think these are bad, but here we go. I like it. It tastes like a corn pop.
I was just saying it tastes like a waffle, really.
It does kind of taste like a waffle. You know what? I'm in. These are good.
Yeah, I'm not.
You want another one?
No, I don't want another one. But yeah, I mean, it tastes like a waffle, like a waffle with syrup on it.
It's pretty good. I gotta say, I'm not hating these at all. Actually, they're very good. I like this. The waffle is a perfect explanation. If you've ever had, I'm sorry, I'm talking on the microphone with food in my mouth. But if you've ever had a, what is it? A Lay's potato chip that's waffle flavor. It's kind of like that. Sad Fryer says, are they cheesy? No, they're not cheesy at all, actually. They're sweet.
No, it's like a hard waffle with syrup on it, with dried encrusted syrup on it.
Now, I don't exactly know what the puff is. It could be just fake something.
Most likely. I mean,
it's like caramel a little bit too. All right, I gotta stop eating these because I will eat the whole bag. I love these things. I'm gonna leave them here though because I will eat this if I go home. It's just gonna be a bunch of beaver nuggets in my bed as I sleepwalk or something like that. All right, it's time for the beaver nuggets. So the story is somehow Buc-ee's got brought up. I think Frank brought it up.
Yes.
And it's a rest stop / mall / entertainment zone, super center. And someone said on the chat yesterday that they have like 100. They went to one with like 100 gas pumps, which is a lot, I guess. But while we were talking
run at Yankee Stadium in 1998, if you hear that highlight,
The
when
OG,
you hear it,
the OG, not me.
yeah, the OG Gwynn.
Yeah.
You never homered off the facade at Yankee Stadium
Never
in the
got
World
to,
Series.
Never got to play there. I wish.
Never
I
got to
coulda.
play.
No,
at
that would have
Yankee
been pretty
Stadium.
sweet.
When you hear that highlight, though, be the first to call in. 833-288-0973. 2 tickets to tomorrow night's Padres Gigantes game.
Gigantes
are in first place in the NL West. By the way, guys, take a look at the standings while you have a second here.
Let me pull them up.
What do we have here, Skraby? Big Five?
Yes.
Okay, we can't do this whole thing then.
Yeah.
Never mind. We'll look at the standings shortly. But your Big Five is more important than the standings.
Wow.
Scheduled.
And
can I tell Tony's story before we get into it? Because
do we have time?
You got one?
Yeah.
If you want to delay your own Big Five, that's your business.
No. This is going to take 2 minutes, but I think it was Friday night's game. I enjoy listening to Tony and Jesse on the way home. I enjoy listening to Tony was on the TV with Don, but I thought it was really funny when Don said, "Do you have more or less than 1,000 hits?"
And what did I say?
And you were like, "I think less." And you're like, "I don't even know. I gotta go check."
I said, I don't think. What did I say? I said I didn't have enough to be counting them, is what I said.
That is what you said.
I didn't have enough to be counting them.
And so I was like, oh, well, they're looking. Tony's actually looking on his phone during a game. Maybe I'll help and send it to him. But
did you send it to me?
No. Once I saw the number, I was like, he doesn't need me to send it.
I'm not embarrassed about my 300 plus hits.
You shouldn't be.
No, I wasn't saying that either.
No, here's the rub. Tony had 1,600 at bats. If he had 1,000 hits, he would have been a 600 career hitter.
Man.
Oh, you would have been pretty good.
That's that would have been good.
I just thought it was funny how, like, Don goes 1,000 and he's like, "Whoa, a little bit off."
It's like Don. I didn't, not even close to 1,000.
Next time
bro.
he asks you,
I barely had 1,000 at bats.
Yeah. Next time he asks you, tell him he had 23 triples. See how he handles that.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
I think so.
23 triples is
and
very
those aren't the
impressive.
kind that rolled under the rope.
No, those are legit.
Allegheny Stadium.
Those are legit triples for sure. No, I mean, listen, dog. It's the cost of doing business at that level. I wasn't as talented as some of these guys.
You
we
were
get to
pretty
watch.
talented, if you ask me.
Yeah, you got one more
I
at bat than
appreciate
I
it.
do in the major
He had
leagues.
23. He had 23 triples and one that every Padre fan will forever hate.
Yeah. That's probably my favorite of all
Probably your
23,
favorite
to
one,
be
exactly.
fair.
I had
know.
to share that though.
I
'cause
know.
I was cracking up on my couch when Tony and John were talking about that.
All right, let's
Anyway.
check traffic, sir.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Just a few problems to mention here. One of them is this crash on Steph on 125 past Spring Street. 3 or 4 vehicles involved. They are over the right shoulder in the North County, eastbound 78 before San Marcos Boulevard. Accident involving car and a semi. It's got middle lanes blocked and a collision on the College Boulevard on-ramp to westbound 78. And Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about here in the Big Five. We're going to talk about Xander Bogarts. We're going to talk about Steph Curry. We're going to talk about Jared Kelnick, Devin Williams, and then a situation that I had yesterday at the baseball game that I was not a part of. But I'm going to ask your guys' opinion on etiquette at a baseball game. So we'll get into that.
I like etiquette questions.
Yeah, this is a good etiquette question because I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say about it. But let's get into this.
Number 5.
Xander Bogarts has struggled this year. There's no way around that. Hitting in the second and or fourth spot in the lineup, his struggles are more pronounced, according to Kevin Acee, because but there's still cause for concern after his slow start. Bogarts posted a sub-700 OPS last season, and he's now at 662 this season. His clutch numbers with the Padres have been poor. 631 OPS across 3 seasons with men in scoring position. And this was actually an AJ Cassavell newsletter. This was asked by the Skrabinator KG, Chris, would it help to DH Xander only and let him focus on that for a bit?
I don't think so. First of all, Tony will speak to this better than I will, but DHing is a whole different animal from playing the field.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yes, some guys are good at it. They get used to it. Other guys don't really love it. They really don't know what to do with themselves for an hour and a half in between at bats sometimes. It's kind of an acquired taste, I think, being a DH. So, no, I don't think you need to complicate it, honestly. Xander doesn't need that. As I said earlier in the program, I would drop him down in the order once the team gets healthier. Give him a chance to just kind of relax and start hitting some line drives and, worry about production, as it were, once you get back going again. Because production, you can't have a cleanup hitter with 0 RBIs in 3 weeks. That's hard to believe, honestly. And, it's a critical thing to say, but it's true. So I would move him down. That's how I would help get him out of this.
Tony, do you think it would help for Xander to DH only and let him focus on that?
No, I don't think it would help at all. You get out of this by continuing to show up and play, and just you got to hit your way out of it. It's just the way it is. If he can't, then you have to eventually have that conversation, but I don't think that we're there in terms of him needing to be taken out of position. He's got to start hitting. I think all the other stuff takes care of itself once he gets to a place where he's swinging the bat good. Defense gets better. All that starts to kind of move in the right direction. He had a bad defensive series.
I was going to say, can we chalk up that to maybe pressing?
Yeah, for sure. Again, he probably more so than anybody else.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't played up to his expectation. So, yeah, I get it. Everybody's frustrated with Bogey, but there's no new shortstop walking through that door.
I wonder if he's making $5 million if everybody's as mad.
No, they would still say he's stealing money.
I don't necessarily think he's stealing money because he just accepted a contract offer, but
He's just not playing well. It has nothing to do with the money. He could be making $5. and he still would be playing the same way.
He's not playing any worse than Yuli Gurriel is, but nobody seems to mention Gurriel.
Oh no, they mention him. That's in my DMs
You
too.
getting
Like
that one too?
Like
Yeah.
it's like I have anything to do with that.
Well, yeah, you do. No, he doesn't.
Number 4.
Do not send Tony messages about roster moves. I read this morning on ESPN about Steph Curry earlier in the season telling Draymond Green, quote, "This is our last ride. Tonight, Steph is going to play his 151st NBA postseason game, and the Warriors have a 2-1 series lead over the Rockets. He might be able to extend it a little more if they keep winning. So, Tony, do you believe this is Steph Curry and Draymond Green's last ride?"
I did before they got
Jimmy Butler. And extended him.
Once they got Jimmy, he's probably bought at least another 2 years. Assuming Jimmy doesn't all of a sudden get old. I mean, you keep landing on your tailbone like that, though.
That hurts.
Jimmy will leave there before 2 years. He'll get tired of Golden State for one reason or another.
Well, listen, how long is the extension?
I think 2.
So, okay, exactly. You got 2 years there.
Hopefully he'll keep
However long the extension is how long you can extend it, because that's how long Jimmy's going to be happy.
Chris, do you think this is Draymond Green and Steph Curry's last ride?
How old's Green? He looks older than he is, right? Because
He's
got that
2
gray
years
beard.
younger than Curry.
Oh, he's younger than Curry.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the two
He's
of them next to
35.
Draymond Green looks like he's 45.
Yeah, Steph, he never ages.
Steph's 36.
If he didn't have facial hair, you wouldn't even think he was old at all. Does he have any gray? I don't know if I even see any Steph.
I don't think he has
gray.
any stubble.
He has a beard. I
That's
think.
right. He's got a beard. Sorry.
We still thinking him as the
But he
baby face
is
assassin over here.
baby-faced. Yeah, he's still baby-faced. I don't really know where it stands. I know that the Warriors have a chance to win the NBA title this year because of those two
They
guys,
do.
though. That's all I can say. I'm so impressed. We talked about Draymond earlier. He is blowing up the Houston offense by himself. And Steph Curry, I just marvel. I'm out of words to describe his shooting ability.
This man
it's
put
just
somebody in a
unbelievable. to
Forget
me.
his shooting, his conditioning. This man put somebody in the hospital from having to guard him.
Who?
Devil what was his name?
Dellavedova?
Yeah, Dellavedova. How do you say his name?
Yeah.
He had to go to the emergency room after guarding him in that final.
That is kind of crazy.
It was just taxed.
And I got to be honest with you, I'm rooting pretty hard for the Warriors in this series.
Yeah, me too.
As hard as I ever have.
Me too.
Because I just Dylan the Villain's driving me nuts.
The name Dylan.
And I
the
just
Villain is
really
so
want
good, though.
I really want Draymond to end up getting the better of him, and I think he's going to.
I just want to see some antics after, like, they get the lead in this game tonight and the game is starting to be over. The antics of Draymond is going to be the thing I'm watching.
Oh, yes.
Because there has been so much talking on, not only from the players, but from Houston's head coach as well. There's been a lot of chirping. And I just have a feeling Draymond, if they get this win tonight, he is going to have a lot to say. And I'm looking forward to it.
The Mets drafted now Brave Jared Kelenic with the 6th overall pick of the 2018 Major League Baseball amateur draft. And then he was traded to the Mariners 6 months later, which brought Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz back to the Mets.
Dun, 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 dun.
He debuted. What is that?
That's the Diaz horn song. That he,
I
I just can't do it because I'm there.
Well, his hip apparently. Did you see this whole thing where they found out his one leg was like longer than his other leg?
I promise you, the first time I saw him come out, that it was like noticeable.
Like he had
Like,
one longer leg.
one of his legs looks like they're way longer. And then when I saw that report the other day, I was like, makes sense to me.
Yeah. Well, Edwin Diaz, he went back to the Mets. Kelenic debuted with the Mariners in 2021, but was traded to the Braves in December of 23. He has just been sent down to AAA Gwinnett after 60 at-bats, hitting 167, has a strikeout rate of 35%. Oh, yeah, he didn't hustle a second either that one time. I say all this to ask this. Say all that to ask this. And it has nothing to do with Jared Kelenic. Chris, when do you give up on a high drafted player?
Probably depends on the player, honestly.
Okay, let's just make it about Jared
I'm
Kelenic.
not trying to. Yeah, he's had plenty of chances, but I'm not ready to. He could figure it out still. I think he's good enough to figure it out. I'm just looking at the 2018 Major League Baseball draft. We poke fun at these NFL teams. Major League Baseball, it's really a coin flip.
It's even harder
Yeah.
in Major League Baseball.
I'm
Who
going
was
to
the
give you
number one that year?
I'm going to give you the 7 picks or the 5 picks before Jared Kelenic.
Okay.
Casey Mize, a pitcher. Joey
Detroit.
Bart, who's been Alec Boehm, who is an all-star last year, but not this year.
Philly.
Nick Madrigal, who's out by now. Jonathan India's hitting 200, and Jared Kelenic. Ryan Weathers was right after him by the Padres. Kyler Murray was in that top 10.
That's right. The Oakland took him.
Oakland took him at number 9.
Dumb, A's. You're picking a player who doesn't want to play baseball.
But my bottom line is only 2 of that first round has ever been an all-star, and that's 7 years ago.
All right.
Alec Boehm and Logan Gilbert have both been all-stars. Everybody else, not much. But no, I don't know that you give up. You let him play. I mean, down in the minor leagues, what do you got to lose? If he catches fire, you bring him up and see what he can do. I don't know that you give up unless he wants to give up.
Yeah. Tony, when do you give up on a high drafted player?
18 when Azu's picked. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think you got a little ways. Baseball is one of those sports the light can just go on all of a sudden and you figure it out. But it does depend really entirely on the prospect. Is this a stubborn guy? Is he having a hard time changing? Is he hard time trying to do something different? Is he resisting it? Like, there's so many.
Is he hustling?
Well, you want to keep doing that because Ronald
that.
was quite irritated.
I was
by that.
irritated with Ronald.
Here's the thing about that. I don't think Ronald was so much irritated at the act. He was irritated by the response of his manager afterwards, I think is what irritated him.
When he said,
wait, I didn't see it. What do you mean you didn't see it? You chased me
it.
up the stairway after I came in. You didn't see his vote? I'd have felt some way too. I think you give Kelenic more time. I mean, not more time in terms of you keep running him out there, but you don't give up on him.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Excuse me.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Would you like a cracker?
There's a cough button over
Yes,
there.
I've used mine
a few times.
That came out of nowhere. I didn't even have time for the cough button. Woof.
You good?
Devin Williams.
Need some
I
water?
think so. I don't know what the heck just happened.
I just want you to remember this the next time I go.
This happens
and
like
you go
once
lose your
every
mind.
6 years,
I know, but
Chris.
you were like hacking on the
mean
live
to.
mic.
It came out of nowhere. I was so upset by Devin Williams being removed from the closer role that I got choked up. But he's being removed from the closer role, quote, for right now. So he is struggling, and he was booed off the mound at Yankee Stadium in a loss to the Blue Jays over the weekend. He has an 11.25 ERA with career worst marks in strikeout rate, whiff rate, walk rate, in 8 innings across 10 appearances. Devin Williams said, with the way things have gone recently, it's not really a shock to me. Being a closer in a position you have to earn, and you have to keep earning it to continue to be in that role. So lately, I haven't been doing that, end quote. Luke Weaver is supposed to take over with the closer role for now. Tony, again, not really talking about Devin Williams, but if you look at everyone on the team, because I know what you guys are going to say, he's going to figure it out. Where do you rank closer? Like, ace. Is ace number 1 on the team?
Here's the thing about a closer. I've been kind of mulling this a little bit. When you have a good one, it is really, really beneficial.
It's a luxury.
It's a luxury, right? I mean, Padres have a really good closer. Can you imagine the games that they have won if you didn't have a good closer?
Probably from 17 and 11, they'd be at least 14 and 14,
right?
Maybe
maybe even a little bit lower than that. And so, in terms of importance, I don't know that you can put them super high on the list, but you know when you got one, because there's just less worry when you get to those innings than there is when you got a guy who's struggling. In my opinion, I always when the Yankees made this move, I had my concerns. You know, Devin has struggled at different times in Milwaukee. As I've told you guys, New York is not cut out for everybody.
That's the question I have for him.
You have to have a certain type of thick skin to go out in New York and be able to deal with all of it, the success and the failures, because you're gonna hear about all of it. There ain't no way to hide in New York. There was nowhere to hide in New York when there was no social media. There's 0 corners to go to now that there is social media. So I do appreciate his words, though. He seems like he's owning the fact that he hasn't pitched well and that he's got to earn it back.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And I would caution Yankee fans. Josh Hader didn't seem like he could get anybody out for that month stretch for the Padres.
Oh, yeah, that was tough.
Pretty much out to being Josh Hader again. So, I wouldn't give up on Devin. But you're right that the Yankee thing, that concerns me because not everybody can do it there.
No. It's a very tough place, very tough market to be in if you're not prepared for that.
You better have really thick skin. So, Skraby, you can't pitch there.
You
Fine, I
can't.
don't
You can't
wanna go
walk
there.
the streets there.
I don't want to go there. Oh, that would scare me. It'd be like, Skraby, you stink.
It would.
Oh,
First of
God.
all, if they said it like that, you'd be grateful.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot harder than that. Than what you just. That was very nice the way you said that.
Number 1.
All right, game etiquette. I was at the game yesterday. Wanted you guys' opinion on something that happened. During the game, there were a few instances of fans standing up during the game and not moving. I didn't say anything, but I was getting a little anxiety buildup
This is
because
you.
I wanted to say something.
Okay.
Yes, this is me.
Okay.
They were standing for a good 45 seconds and blocking out the field, all because they were sneaking into seats. So that was people number 1. So we had to deal with that. Fast forward to near the end of the game, and there were people in their seats in front of us. They had 2 small kids with them, one a baby, and one was like maybe 4 years old. Well, the dad stood up during the game to go through his backpack on his seat. So he's completely blocking home plate for all of us in the view. I was being patient because I can assume it's not easy to have 2 young kids at a baseball game. But this went on for a minute when finally someone from behind me yelled, "Hey, sit down. We can't see." And the guy was not happy about it. He shot a look back up. The wife shot a look back up. And I thought we were going to fight in the stands. They sat down, but not until a good 45 seconds of bag rifling. My question is, Chris, how long would you wait before you ask someone to sit down?
I'm stupid. I would take it for
Save that
way.
clip?
Yeah, I would sit there and not say anything for way longer than I should.
Like, we're talking
like I would be annoyed by it. Then I would be pissed. Then I would go to my wife or you and go, "Can you believe these people are saying that?" But I wouldn't yell out anything to them because I hate starting stuff.
Oh no.
So that's your answer. But to answer what I feel about those people who were standing up and then got mad that somebody would dare mention it, I'm going to need the whole next segment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Tony, how long would you wait before you ask someone to sit down? I think a minute is a long time.
I might give you a batter.
A full batter?
I mean, assuming it's a normal at bat, not like a 12 pitch or 8 pitch, like a normal AB. I give you that. But afterwards, excuse me, I'd like to watch the game. You guys are standing up.
Well, I'm just trying to get my baby.
I understand.
Okay?
But I want to watch the game too.
My kid is hungry. Trying to get something
You're
out
not
of the
just
bag.
you're not just blocking me, sir. You're blocking everybody. Nobody can see the game right
Well,
now.
who cares? They're losing anyway.
Security.
Isn't it funny that you know everything that rude person would say?
Right.
I did not say anything. We'll be back. Maybe we'll talk some more about it on the other side.
since 2006. Baseball is back, and so is swim season. Call now and mention radio for a free month of pool service. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Skraby. As I said, you're into the happy hour. We headed into the happy hour talking about fan etiquette at a baseball game. Skrabe had an issue with a family standing up for a long period of time and blocking the view to the game. Chris said he had quite a bit to say about this on the other side.
I do.
So I'm going to my man, Chris Ello.
Thank you. I do, only because Skraby said, well, first of all, we should congratulate Drew.
Yes, Drew won the
He
Padres
called in
tickets
during the break because Skraby played the Tony Gwynn Sr. highlight of the World Series home run in 1998. So everybody stop calling now. Unfortunately for you,
it's over.
It's over. Drew has won the Padre tickets. He'll go see the Padres play the Gigantes tomorrow night. He'll have a chance to grab the Tony Gwynn Sr. bobblehead. First 40,000 get one. Sounds good unless you're the 41,000 person into the ballpark.
Too late.
So, yeah. Good luck with all of that. Now, the reason I got angry when Skraby talked about these people standing up is not so much that they stood up, and it sounded like they had to take care of a few things with their kids and get everything organized. It's the fact that, according to Skraby's reporting,
they caught an attitude.
They caught an attitude when somebody asked them to please sit down.
Okay, so
that part is what annoys me to no end.
Me going back with Tony was role play. That they didn't actually yell, but they did shoot the look back up. The wife shot the look back up, and then he passive aggressively stood there for a little bit longer and got the stuff out of his bag.
Here's my thing. I mean, first of all, I don't have kids, so I can't 100% feel you. But I also know that if I did have a kid, I'd be really nervous about bringing him to a ballpark or to the movies or even to a restaurant.
Yes.
And because I would be concerned with how that might play on the other customers. If I did bring them, I would go out of my way to make sure that if I did have to fix something or straighten something out, I would hopefully grab the kid or whatever item it is and get out of there before I fixed it so that I'm not bothering anybody's view. But I am kind of getting used to the fact that our world is filled with so many people who honestly think they're the only people there. And it's just one of my all-time pet peeves. So I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
I'm with you. I'm with you on the pet peeve. I will say, as a parent of 4, you do get to the point where you're like, you know what?
I'm just doing it.
I got to do it. I'm sorry. Like I generally always am worried about everybody else's experience as it pertains to my loud children.
Yeah.
But today is not the day. I'm not doing it. So you're just gonna have to hold this a little bit longer. I'm not doing it intentionally. I'm taking care of what I got to give. But I'm not gonna flash a look if somebody asks me to sit down. I'm already in my mind. I'm already like, oh my God, it's
crawling out of your skin kind of thing.
I can't even find this. Why didn't at least put this in the spot where I can get this is all it's all going through. It's all going through my head. As I'm probably
she should be the one rifling through the bag right now.
As I'm probably sweating coming down my head at this point. So I wouldn't look. That is annoying. When you, first of all, as a parent, when you get up to do something like that, you should already know that you're probably changing the experience for people around you. So that should already have you on kind of high alert as it is.
Yeah, but you know what I'm kind of used to, Tony, is, being at, let's say Costco and filling up the tank of gas. And here comes Joe Yoho with his.
Does he say yo ho yo ho as he's walking up? Is that why he's named Joe Yoho?
No, he's playing his favorite music on blast.
Oh, that's me for sure.
While he's getting gas.
Oh, not while I'm getting gas.
So now
car's turned off when I'm getting gas.
Okay, well now while I'm getting gas, I have to listen to his music.
Joe Yo
Ho. I'll tell you what, if you put that song, I'd kind of get a kick out of it.
That would be fun, actually.
But just in general, people who don't know that anyone else is there. It's one of my all-time things.
I feel like Chris is right. People don't care about people anymore, and they don't care about anything that. Oh well. You know what? I paid for this ticket. Well, so did I. Yeah. I mean, what does that mean?
We all did.
What does that mean? It means nothing. But like when you get angry at someone, the guy was standing up in the middle of an inning.
Yeah.
If it's between innings, no one cares. And you know what? If you're still standing when the inning starts, fine.
There's a reason why if you get up and like, let's say you're coming in a lot of baseball stadiums, they make you wait till there's like a breaking the action before they let you actually start.
I believe they do that at Petco.
Yeah, I think they do that pretty much at all.
It was not being enforced yesterday.
Yeah, well, yesterday, I don't know, was it late in the game?
It was all game.
It was all game.
People were walking up back and forth all game.
All right.
Okay,
well, they do.
I know they do that at certain
Well,
spots.
they do enforce that rule in most of the seating, but where you have to sit, Skraby, they don't. They can't afford ushers out there.
And she gave me a ticket that I couldn't afford, so I was in a nicer area of the stadium.
Oh, then they should have had
so
that
you were in
enforced.
the hoity-toity area.
I was in the hoity-toity area.
Well, then that should have been enforced down
and
there.
guess what? Still haven't paid for a ticket
the,
in a while.
The problem with being in the hoity-toity area is that everybody feels like, hey, I'm in the hoity-toity area. I can kind of do what I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy how people act these days. And someone was saying on the chat earlier that yesterday they were like, "What section were you in?" Because we sat next to a family who threw a Michelotto over the edge. It's like, what?
What are we doing?
Like, I have no idea, but there are. I do think that
we already knew this. We've been talking. How long have we been talking about the fan experience over the last, I don't know, seems like since COVID, right?
Yeah.
That's probably when we started noticing the change in behavior.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
At the games, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anything has changed. It may have settled down a little bit. We don't have as much ridiculousness, but we still got it out there.
We do. And there's a lot in I'm not saying this is a Padres thing because I've been to many baseball games and they're all the same. I think over drinking is a thing. And it's a big thing. And I know it's been a thing. I know it's not anything new. But like I see, and maybe it's just because I'm not drunk anymore, because I used to be one of the drunk people walking around.
It might be.
But I see a lot of really intoxicated people, and they're not necessarily aware of their surroundings.
Well, we had one of those idiots in Cleveland yesterday. An absolutely awful situation.
You didn't see that? I know you didn't, because you would have definitely talked about it.
No, I have not seen this.
This involved the Boston
Durant.
Red Sox outfielder Jared
I
Duran.
saw someone got ejected, but I don't know what happened.
Well,
Let
Jared
Chris
Duran was very
had to be restrained. Restrained.
Well, yes, Jared Duran was very outgoing in an article, or was it an interview? An article?
No,
it
was in the documentary they're doing on Netflix
about having thought about taking his life, and he
tried to take his life,
about
right?
it, and he thought about it, and he tried it, and he pulled the trigger, and it didn't work. Right, that's right. Okay, well, he was in Cleveland yesterday, and apparently there was a fan in the front row behind the Red Sox dugout who, according to Duran, just was yelling very inappropriate stuff. I read somewhere that it happened to sound something like, "I wish you would have been successful."
That's exactly that's what set him off.
And Jared Duran, tried to go after the fan. Basically,
I'm watching the video right now.
Security was able to handle it, and the umpires, etc. They got the fan out of there. The Cleveland has issued apologies and things. This is not the norm, even for drunk people, to say something that absurd and outlandish and hurtful. But it does give you the idea that things are a bit out of control. You said since COVID, Tony, I don't disagree with you. The world changed during COVID. And, but idiot fans have been around for a lot longer than
for
COVID.
a long time, for sure. I'm not saying that they just popped up recently.
Yeah.
But it has become noticeable a lot more since 2020.
I think you're right. And what you said, Skraby, about, well, I pay for the ticket, I can do what I want. No, you can't. It doesn't say that on the ticket. You have to, part of the world. I mean, you don't have to pay attention to street lights if you don't want to. It would be helpful if you did.
Right.
It's just, I don't know. I go on with this, and Lori and I.
See, I think
running into people all the time that don't know anyone else is around. And I just drives me nuts.
think we have, as a society, not held people to higher standards. And what I mean by that is, like, don't let these people come to games with you. If you know that they're going to yell something like that, Call him out for it, even if it's your friend. Like, I'm not asking for fights in the stands or anything like that, but
they're actually asking for the opposite of fights in the stands.
Like, let's be a society. Let's tell the person that's standing up telling Jared Duran that he should kill himself. Like,
crazy.
Let's make sure that person knows that's not okay, but that's not what we do anymore. We're just like, look the other way.
I will push back a little bit. I think the fans were the one that got the guy who said those things eventually kicked out. Because he lost his mind, obviously, as he should have, Jared Duran. And then it was from what I read, it was the fans that eventually pointed the guy out, like, here he is.
According to the story, the fan got pointed out and then tried to escape.
Yeah, well,
he was actually running up the stairway. And
that's
the
even better, actually.
Security, was able to get this.
So
guy.
you're such a tough guy that you're going to yell at a player on a field because you know they can't do anything to you, and then you're going to run.
Welcome to the world we live in. That is Twitter right there all day long. He's probably a big Twitter guy.
But there is a shot of this, and there's a lot of fans pointing in the direction of the fan.
Okay, so they did take
a little bit.
Fans
were apparently, doing something about this.
That drives me insane. And you know what people say? Well, he's a pro athlete. He needs to be able to handle himself. You know what? When you say something like that, to me, it goes further than the field.
To me, it's the same thing when you're like, he's stealing money. It's the same thing. It's still the same human being. Whoever. It's the same human being element there. Like, yes, he's making a gang of money. It doesn't mean that he just can get hits whenever he wants to. Or in this case, just have to take the most ridiculous thing coming out of your mouth. Like in a real, if that was in the real world, like not on the field, and that guy would have said that to Duran, I promise you it would have been a 2-piece. My man would have been out cold.
What would happen if they said that to Tommy Pham?
I don't even want to tell y'all what would
actually
happen.
Be a fight.
It would be over.
And people in the chat are saying, hey, San Diego's not exempt from this. I know. We brought this up because
we've
of the
said
San
that
Diego
before.
Fan.
Absolutely. San Diego's not exempt.
That's how this whole started.
They're bringing up the chant from SDFC that, we're part of that too. I understand, but there were a lot of
This isn't an
against
indictment on people out of Cleveland. We are talking about all of sports, and that includes here in San Diego.
Oh, I wasn't picking on Cleveland.
No, I know you were.
Nobody
was. You were. I was just
one last thing on Xander Bogarts.
We gotta go. We don't gotta go. We just got to keep going until 16. So
let's just keep going. 18. It's a good conversation.
Good
one thing on Xander Bogarts: if you're sitting in the stands and you're screaming, it feels like fans not only have the entitlement to scream, but they feel protected by the fact that they're in the stands and they're at a game. What I mean by that is, if you were shopping at your local Vons or Albertsons and you were going up and down the
Pavilions
aisle.
now, by the way.
Pavilions, thank you. You have to interrupt everything I say.
Well, I mean, there's no more Vons. Everybody's like, what's Vons? I know.
Everybody knows.
Nobody knew what that was. God, you're annoying. But if you're walking down the aisle of your local Pavilions and Xander Bogarts came walking by and was buying a loaf of bread himself, how many people would say, "You suck"?
None.
Will you ever get a hit?
I don't think
absolutely no one would. Everyone would go, "Wow, Xander Bogarts, this is awesome."
There's a couple. But
you know what I mean.
The one or two people that want to go viral or want to somehow. Right. Just like my man who walked up on DeRozan after when he was sitting there eating by himself.
Yeah.
And kind of put him on camera, and then all of a sudden get into a physical altercation because you can't just run up on people because you saw them on TV. You got to, if you had approached them like a normal human being, like, hey, DeMar, can I get your autograph or whatever it was? Instead, this guy walked up to him and was like, DeMar, they're trying to kick me out of the restaurant. And like DeMar just reacted,
and he's probably like, "Yeah, kick you out of the restaurant."
It's just we've talked about it. We are in a time where that is the thing. How can I be famous? What can I do to get some attention?
Someone Katie's saying there have been a lot of ugly things said about Xander on X, and X is just a whole nother level.
It's very easy to hide behind that. That goes back to what Chris is just saying. That is the perfect place to go if you don't ever want to have to see somebody, but you want to say something about somebody. Head to X because you'll never have to face a consequence.
I think that would be a good rule of thumb, by the way. If you're actually a reasonable human being, maybe you should think about it
Skraby, before you post something, ask yourself, would I post this in the presence of Xander Bogarts? Might keep you from posting stupid stuff that really doesn't belong.
Honestly, I do think about, like, I try not to trash players on my social media because I don't know when the next time I have to face that player would be. Like, I don't even think that trashing players is fun at all. Like, I don't want to trash someone for being bad. Why would I want to do that? They know they're bad.
Well, you also know how it feels.
Yeah.
As a public figure now.
Yeah.
When you get picked on.
Yeah, someone called me fat last week on Instagram. And
He's still spiraling out of this.
I don't even think it was last week. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and I'm still thinking about that comment.
And I'm pretty sure we both got called fat in the same photo. So
they're clearly talking about me, Chris.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
It
just depends on how you deal with it. So I went on a diet immediately after hearing
That's
that.
what Skraby's doing too.
yeah, I was about to eat some fast food this weekend. And I was like, you know what? No.
Yeah.
That guy called me fat on Instagram, so I'm not going to do anything about it.
Well,
but come on, people, let's just be cool. Let's
well,
just be cool.
We, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. That seems like an easy one, but it's not many people go by that standard.
Do you remember when Britney Spears assaulted Victor Wembanyama? Not actually assaulted him, but tried to get a picture.
I vaguely remember that.
And security took her and moved her away from him because she was so excited to see him.
Yeah, that was awkward.
That was extremely awkward. All right.
That might have been the first and only thing that's ever been awkward surrounding Britney Spears.
Is that sarcastic?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say, what about the shaving of her head?
It was sarcastic.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
yeah. About to say,
You mentioned Britney Spears. It's awkward.
She's had some awkward moments here.
She shaved her head that one time.
All right, let's get to break. We got a few more segments left to go in this wonderful happy hour. Here's some traffic.
From the 855.
What you doing over there?
I love it when Chris realizes.
He sounds like a
something
one-man
for the first
band or
time.
something.
I love it when he realizes something for the first time.
Sounds like you're taking a spoon and whacking it into the kitchen sink or something. Is this like a top song somewhere that I should know about?
No, it's a free song.
It's a fake song.
Yeah, it's
Fake
not
song.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to use
Can't
real
use real
music.
stuff.
That's right. I forgot. Okay. I picked a Miami +8 against Cleveland in this basketball game.
Yeah, you did.
I believe I would tear up the ticket if I were me. 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. Cleveland 60, Miami 23. I honestly don't know if I've ever seen a score quite like that.
I mean, they don't even have Donovan Mitchell or Garland in the game right now.
They just brought some guy out of the stands. He hit a 3-pointer for Cleveland. 60-23. Yikes. Looks like the Cavs are going to sweep that series.
What's my man's name what's the big man for Cleveland?
Jared Allen or
Jared
Eric
Allen
Mobley?
looks like he could have definitely played in like the 70s for sure.
Well, he looks like he's from the 70s.
He
He's got the
does.
afro, which it's now. Oh, no, they missed him on. All right. Anyway, 37-point lead for Cleveland. I like their chances there. NHL fans, Florida 1, Tampa Bay 1. Tampa Bay just tied it up in the hockey tonight. All right, guys. I was going to have you do a last segment, but maybe we have. No, we don't. My goodness.
Time flies.
I know. Well, I'll do it tomorrow. 4 home run games. I'm changing tact.
Okay.
Eugenio Suarez. Do you know the last person before him to do it was?
Ooh,
Also a Diamondback.
I know who it is.
What are the odds of that?
I know who it is.
Hold up.
Tony wants to think of it. You got it, Tony?
It was a Diamondback
It
recently?
was also a Diamondback.
Yes.
It was
it
8
Walker?
years ago.
Oh, Marte.
Nope.
No.
8 years ago. This guy's
8.
played on like 6 different teams, so that doesn't help you a
When
lot.
can I sound smart?
Go ahead.
Go.
JD Martinez.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
What do they call it? Just
No, Jumbo something, but I can't say
Don't
it.
say it. Yeah, he's got the worst nickname I've ever heard. The player before JD Martinez, it's too Skraby. I can't ever say his name without thinking that nickname.
Thomas Andrews. Gave
Thomas
us all
Andrews.
those. Remember the Michael Chavez, the ice.
He was giving us all the Boston Red Sox nicknames. Is that what he was doing?
He emblazoned that one. The player before JD Martinez.
What was Mitch Moreland's?
Mitchie Two-Bag or Mitchie Four-Bags or something? Remember when Mitch Moreland was a Padre?
Yes, I do.
For about a week, people liked him.
Yeah.
Then he went into a slump.
Yeah.
The player before JD Martinez was a guy that ended up with 42 career home runs. He hit 10% of them in one game.
Was it Gwinnett?
Scooter Gennett,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
of the Reds.
I remember him.
Very strange. Not many guys have done it. The best ever was Sean Green in 2002.
Did Mike Cameron do it?
Mike Cameron, yep. And Mike Cameron and Cameron's was weird, I think. Oh, he hit 4 home runs in the first 5 innings.
Yeah. He gets the White Sox.
4 home runs in 5 innings. Yeah, that was pretty good.
No one's hit 5, right?
No.
Yeah.
Not many guys have had the chance, but yeah, 5 has not happened yet. Anyway, that was only the 17th time it's ever happened. So consider Suarez what he did Saturday night with the 4 home runs, rarer than a perfect game.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you were there or you watched, you saw something you don't see hardly ever. So very
Did your
cool.
dad ever hit 3 in a game, Tony?
Ooh.
I can
so.
look at this, but I'm gonna have to do.
I think
some
he had
research.
2 in a game. I don't think he's had 3 in a game.
3's a lot,
especially for him.
3's good.
But
Brandon Nimmo today, if you're just tuned in, had 2 homers but 9 RBIs.
Good.
That's a
good
day.
game.
That's a week right there.
Yes, the record holder for RBIs, hard hitting Mark Whitten. Had 12 RBIs.
That might have been like an opening day game. It was close to the beginning of the season, wasn't it? He was a Red.
He was a Cardinal against the Reds.
Against the Reds.
Second game of a doubleheader, actually, which is an old thing that we used to. I want to tell the kids what a doubleheader used to be. He had 12 ribbies in that
was
game.
I think one of those games was ESPN. They were showing it all over. I remember that.
He had a grand slam,
hard hitting Mark
3-run dinger.
See, that's when nicknames were legit.
Nicknames were a big part of the game, and I miss it. You know what else I miss, Tony? I was thinking of this yesterday when I was watching Yuli Gurriel bat. I know everybody else was thinking, oh, it's Yuli Gurriel. What I was thinking was, do you remember when every player had their own stance?
Yes.
And as a kid,
you just tried to emulate them.
You tried to emulate everybody's stance. You knew every player by their stance. That doesn't happen anymore. That doesn't really happen anymore. Who didn't want to be
Gary Sheffield?
Yes.
That was everybody's favorite to emulate. Yeah, man. I mean,
stances was a big deal. Now,
give me
lost in the shuffle.
Give me Will the Thrill stance.
Kind of lost in the shuffle. All right, we got a break. More Gwynn and Chris. Half an hour of craziness to go.
Ben and Woods on
8-2 run against Cleveland. The bad news, they're still down by 39 points.
So not so good. Not so good.
Not so good. Second quarter, and actually now going into halftime, 72-33.
It's a wrap.
Yeah, I mean, really, if Miami said we're not coming out for the second half, I don't think it would really.
Nobody would blame them.
I think the fans would just say that's fine.
Like,
They don't want to watch
have
these
the
guys.
rest, have the rest of our Monday to ourselves. Thank you.
Wow, 39-point halftime lead. Gwynn and Chris, 5:36, and Skraby getting her done today. Tomorrow, Tony's back in action at the stadium. We got a little night baseball tomorrow night. Padres and Giants with a good
2-game set
tomorrow night.
Set.
Tomorrow night, I'm not a betting man.
Not a series. It's a set.
A set. I'm not a betting
it's not
man.
a wraparound or whatever we call those
God,
things.
we finally put that out of its misery.
Do we have any wraparounds this year on the schedule?
Friday,
sure there's at least one.
Friday to Monday series used to be called the wraparound until Tony said it conjured up a bad image. So we stopped calling it that.
I'm not seeing it.
That's right.
But a good pitching matchup tomorrow.
Yes.
Again, you never know what's going to happen in a baseball game, but it would seem like the over-under can't be very high tomorrow with Logan Webb against Nick Pivetta.
I think
that is a pitching matchup.
I think there's something to, seeing a pitcher you're familiar with again.
Right.
Although,
right.
Although
Hopefully.
the last 2 days, Littell used to pitch for the Giants and Pepioy was at the Dodgers for a while.
That didn't help.
So, I don't know.
Padres are due to break loose. Hopefully it'll be tomorrow. We went over all their offensive woes earlier in the program. Probably touch on those a few more times tomorrow before the game tomorrow night. Then there's a Wednesday day game. And then you guys hit the road, Jack.
Hit the road, Jack.
Give me,
Don't you come back.
Give me your tour stops, Tony.
We will head to Pittsburgh.
Ooh. No, the most beautiful. You always say, ugh. Pittsburgh is the most beautiful view in all of baseball.
That is true.
It is.
It's
don't
one of the.
Go, ugh.
It's one of the highest views, second highest view. in all of
You're
baseball.
too high up, but you can see the city beautifully.
It's a beautiful city.
It is beautiful.
City. Hopefully we don't run into any furries this road trip. We are there for 4 days. You get a Thursday off day. For those, you guys know
Pittsburgh's
what a
a good
furry
place
is,
to be.
You guys know what a furry is? You guys know?
Well, I know what a furry is, but I don't know we're talking about the same
I think
thing.
we're talking about the same.
People who dress up in.
Yes, they have a convention in Pittsburgh.
And you guys are going to be there at the same time?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. Usually it's during the summer. I just know my first 2 years in the big leagues playing as a Milwaukee Brewer, we went there often. They were in our division. And I remember 2 years straight, 06, 07, pulling into the hotel, getting our keys as you do, get in the elevator. And I promise you, 2 adults, one in full costume, the other not in costume, but on a leash, get into the elevator.
All right, I'm going to have to. You're already in a bad spot, but I need more specifics.
Chris, you don't need more specifics.
Listen. I just
send me a photo, Tony.
I listen. It was so weird. I didn't know what to kind of.
What kind of animals were they? Do you remember?
I think it was cat. I assume the one that wasn't in the costume was a cat.
Oh, come on.
The other one was in a dog full costume.
It's
wild, man.
Is.
If I told you the rest, you would think I'm lying. They get off the elevator, peek my head down that particular hallway. Because two adults just got off. One was on a leash,
did I
walking on all fours, and the other one was in a full dog costume. I looked down the hallway. I promise you, litter boxes.
Oh no!
Up and down the hallway.
Oh no!
I don't know what was going in those litter boxes, but I didn't stick around to find out.
No.
Went on up to my room, and that happened 2 consecutive years. We got there at the exact same time.
Oh,
so
that's a nightmare scenario.
There you go.
That is a. I knew what furries were because of CSI episode one time.
I saw that episode.
I didn't know what they were, and I wish I still didn't.
Look it up. You get more information. It gets a lot weirder. All right.
Just wait,
We
Chris,
got-
until we get.
We
into
got to
this
get to our
interview.
interview of the day. Mark Zeigler joined us earlier talking some Aztec basketball. Before we get to him, here's some traffic.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Folks seem to be having problems navigating our roads this afternoon, guys. Numerous crashes here. One in the clearing stage in Hillcrest, north on 163 before Washington Street. Also, westbound 52, just past the 163, there is a collision involving a couple vehicles. Not showing if any lanes are blocked. Got a collision on Leucadia Boulevard on-ramp to southbound 5. Also on the westbound 78, right past College. Collision involving car and motorcycle. That has just been cleared out of middle lanes. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Bring our friend Mark Zeigler, San Diego Union Tribune. Mark, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
We're doing great. We're doing good. Talking a little Aztec basketball. Magoon Guaf, guess went through some of the kind of the rigors of perhaps getting in the draft, decided against it. He's coming back to San Diego State. He also had knee surgery recently. Can you tell us a little bit about the return and the knee surgery?
Well, not a lot of details out and confirmed on the knee surgery, just that he had it. It was arthroscopic, and they expect him to be ready for the season. And, I kind of pieced together what I knew and what was sort of announced and not announced after he first hurt the knee. And my sense is that it was PCL surgery and that it was what they call an augmented repair, which is where they attach like a piece of suture tape to the ligament to sort of strengthen it. And also it heals quicker than if you do a full reconstruction. And obviously he didn't rupture the ligament, because when he hurt it against Utah State on February 22nd, I mean, he would have been out from that day forward, and he wasn't. And so I think that's what they did. And, I can't get a real read on how long it's going to be. I've heard some people say 6 months. I've heard others say, it's more like 5 if the surgery goes well. And so that puts him anywhere from 6 weeks to 2 weeks out from the season. So I have a sense he's going to have enough time to get ready. I think just what he's going to miss is some of the off-season stuff, which really starts for them in July. It goes through the month of July, a little bit into August. They get a little bit of a break, and they come back in month of September. So let's say it's 2.5 months of workouts he'll miss. But other than that, I think he should be back. So I guess that's the best news of the whole thing.
Yeah, I can confirm he's on campus. I didn't actually make contact with him.
Oh, good.
I hope I bumped into him.
Chris Burton, the star player.
I stayed clear, but I did see him on campus a couple last week or so. Mark, just through the entire offseason, people are very excited by what you've been writing and what they've been doing. And, you look, if Miles Byrd ends up coming back, and I think that's still up for grabs, but, to have him back, BJ Davis, Taj DeGorville, the addition of Reese Waters, I think we can't forget about that. Farrell Compton, Magoon, Miles Heide. That is if they didn't add anybody, but they have added people. Talk about where they've filled in, and should we be as excited as we are?
Yeah, what they did is they added people very strategically. They went out and got some transfers, 3 transfers that really address needs. The number one need, obviously, when Nick Boyd left, was point guard. They got Sean Newman Jr., a kid from the LA area. He played a couple years at Fullerton, but he was really kind of his JC coach, Perry Webster, called him a COVID kid. And he is one of those kids who just slips through the cracks, right? We can't go out and see him play. His high school season's kind of shortened. We can't go see him in, there's a lot of spring evaluation AAU games and tournaments for unsigned seniors, maybe late bloomers. That all got wiped out. And he just heard about them and took them, and then he got to Fullerton, and then their whole season got wiped out by COVID. And then he just kind of, and then the next year he hurt his knee. So he was really under the radar, and he's been working his way through JC and then Louisiana Tech, number 3 in the country in assists per game at 7.9, pass first, exactly what they needed. I think late in the season, while Nick Boyd was a point guard in name, he also started, maybe because he recognized they needed more scoring, he was looking for his shot more than he was looking for the pass. There were some guys open, he didn't pass, he elected to shoot. And I, can't dispute that they needed scoring. But this is a guy who's been looking to pass. And they have so many weapons now, particularly if Bird comes back. But you mentioned Reese Waters. The second half of the season, Magoo and Guaf. He's really, really, I think I want to say upgrade because, some players are better in one area than another, but in terms of the pass first mentality and what this team needs, he's an upgrade in that area. And then they got Jeremiah Odin, who, people are going to sleep on and just think, well, he'll just be a backup to Magoon, et cetera, et cetera. But this is a guy who in a limited role did a lot of really, really good things at Wyoming. He can shoot the three, he can drive, he's 6'9", he can play the three if you need him to. He's long, athletic, and he's a sixth-year senior. He'll bring that veteran leadership and experience that they were lacking last season. Same with Sean Newman. And then the other guy, Latrell Davis from San Jose State, they went and got as kind of a cover, I think, in case Bird does go pro. He can slot, plug and play right into that position. Probably a better offensive player than Bird, to be honest, right now. A better shooter, better scorer. Doesn't give you the defensive length and athleticism, but man, great kid. He's from England, and I think huge addition to what they have. So they really nailed everything in terms of getting players back and then adding pieces they needed.
Mark Zeigler joins us here, San Diego Union Tribune, and Zieg, just a random question. I thought about this today when I saw it go across my phone. I saw Baker Mazzara ended up transferring to USC. Was there any interest in those two perhaps coming back together again?
I'm sure there's interest because they love him as a player and they know what he can do on the floor. He's just a winner. He's won 120 something games in college. It's again the sixth year, a lot of experience, a lot of big game experience, can play multiple positions. Great passer. I think his passing, people just forget about how good of a passer he was. And it was on display in the Final Four. But I think he's just kind of priced out of the market.
Yeah.
He left. He was at Auburn, and I think they kind of had a deal in principle, and it kind of fell apart. And my understanding is he probably doubled the money. So you can start doing the math on how much he's getting. And I don't necessarily blame those kids. Same with Nick Boyd. If you're not a surefire NBA guy, or you may be too old for the NBA, this is your best earning year of basketball. You can go to Europe, but you're not making $2 or $3 million in Europe. You're just not. And you could probably make as much in 1 year of college and you might make in your entire pro career combined. And so for these kids to want to go out and grab it, it's hard to blame them. But I think that's probably a little bit of the case of what's going on here.
Mark Zeigler is our guest, and San Diego State basketball, it's not the season, but it's always the season now with the transfer portal and everything and the recruiting. And Mark, talking about what you just mentioned, the kind of earning power and the money that some of these guys can make. How do the Aztecs end up getting LZ Harrington and a 4-star recruit and, CIF state title, St. John Bosco? Is this? It sounds like a great feather in their cap as far as what the talent might be. Why would he choose here and not elsewhere where maybe he makes more money? I hate to put it in those terms, but it seems like that crosses my mind now.
Well, San State's done a really good job of understanding we have money, but we don't have as much money as other people do. So we've got to find guys that want to be here because they want to be here, not because they want to be here because of what we're paying them. And they firmly believe that's how you win. And they have won with those kind of guys. Reese Waters is one, and who doesn't really, money isn't an issue. And partly because, to be honest, his family isn't in that kind of economic situation where there's a desperation to get money. LZ Harrington, same thing. His parents are both doctors. I'm sure they're pretty well to do. Barack Obama is a family friend. He told me, he goes, look, I've been exposed to a lot of very, very successful people in life. And I'm not just talking about basketball. And in basketball, and LeBron James was his club coach and Bryce James is one of his friends. And so this is a guy who is a little bit more mature and sees a bigger picture. And, his dad is really ill. He's been very open about that. he's interested in relationships. I mean, he kept saying the word relationships to me when I talked to him, and that's something San Diego State excels in. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, Brian Dutcher is a very likable coach. His players love playing for him. The coaching staff is very veteran. They're very mature. They're not a bunch of, you don't have, I mean, I obviously have a Greco rope, but you have a lot of guys who've been in coaching for a long time. They're parents. All of them are parents with young kids. They understand what it is to be a parent. And so I think the kids that appeals to are the kind of kids they're getting. And LZ Harrington 100% falls into that bucket. He was not looking for a payday. He was looking for a home. And he even said to me, he goes, I picked USC when I decommitted from Harvard initially just because it was close. My dad was sick. I considered San Diego State, but I never went and visited it. That was my mistake. And when I reopened my recruitment, it allowed me to come visit some of the places that I didn't visit before. And those relationships were still open with the coaches. They were happy for him just wherever he chose. And when it opened up again, the relationships were there, and he came down to visit and just fell in love with it. And yeah, huge feather. I mean, this guy, I think, has an enormous upside, 6'6" point guard, great floor vision, and just a hard worker. And I think he's going to fit in perfectly.
Before you go, Mark, I wanted to ask you, a couple minutes left. Always had, great stuff. And I feel totally up to date now on the Aztecs. I'm watching Jaden McDaniels in this series for Minnesota against the Lakers. He is really good, right? The Aztecs had his brother, Jalen McDaniels, who was the higher accredited player, if I'm not mistaken, back in college. He's kind of in the G League, back and forth of the NBA. Did the Aztecs ever come close to getting Jaden to play with Jalen? And how did all that
It's a great question.
What do you remember? If you remember any of it.
I do. So Jaden was the higher rank. Jaden who's in the NBA. He was a 5-star, top 25 player. The parents loved San Diego State because Jalen was a little bit under the radar, later developing, similar body type, long, athletic, and they just loved the way they developed Jalen. And they really wanted Jaden to consider San Diego State. San Diego State was in the mix to the end. The issue was he was young, and do you want to take a really talented guy who's 5 stars, who doesn't know how to play defense yet, and have him for 1 year and then lose him? And you look at all the pain that they went through last year with some of the freshmen, right? It's a sophisticated, complex, a lot of reads in their defensive system, and they made some mistakes. They made a lot of mistakes. They had to dumb down a lot of stuff. And the thing was, but next year they'll know everything and they'll be a lot better. Well, you knew that with Jaden, he was probably gone, and you wouldn't get that second year.
Yeah.
And what they decided, and this was Brian Dutcher making a decision, they went and got a 5th-year guy who sat on the bench instead. And a lot of people raised their eyebrows and going, what is Dutch doing? Well, that player was Yanni Wetzell, and they went 30-2. And remember, in that season, Nathan Mensah was wiped out for the second half of the season, and then Yanni was really the only big, and he had a major role. He set all the ball screens for Malachi Flynn. He had some monster games that bailed him out of some tough spots, and he had experience. And so that's what they figured. If we're only going to have a guy for 1 year, let's get the experienced guy. And so it didn't really turn him down. He ended up going to Washington. He's from Seattle.
Right.
Jaden did. But it was an interesting dynamic, and man, it worked out well for the Aztecs.
Yeah, interesting.
No doubt about it. Well, as always, Mark, love catching up with you, my man, and we'll do it again here soon.
Thanks so much, Mark, for everything.
Yep, my pleasure. We'll talk to you guys.
Mark Zeigler to end the show. We back at it again tomorrow. Padres, Giants. We'll be separated once again, but you'll get us for almost 4.
Don't miss it tonight. Marlins, Dodgers, $409 million payroll gap.
Oh,
should be fun.
Should be fun.
Skraby Chronicles next.
Oh,
heck yeah!
Oh,
heck yeah!
Have a good night.